first good day for you?
Yeah, more or less was very fun. The conditions are absolutely perfect. Still some big mud holes and some water on the track, but yeah, this is very fun. It's a very fun race, and I'm excited. And yeah, okay, I'm the desert guy coming out here racing more or less enduro stuff, so I'm just having a good time. Yeah.
Above all, it's important to finish this race.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking forward to Dakar in the future and getting more time on the bike and training and more race time. So yeah, I'm having fun out here. Of course, I'm going to do my best, but at the end of the day, I just I want to have fun riding my dirt bike.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck.
Well, Skylar House is having fun out here, and so are we this evening. Hello, everybody, and a very warm welcome to stage 1B of the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. This is a brand new event organised by the Automóvel Club de Portugal. It's in Europe, it's the third round of this year's World Rally Raid Championship, and it's live, which is something I don't get to say very often in this sport of Rally Raid. So thanks very much for joining us. We're delighted to have you with us. As you can see, we are getting to the end of this first stage. First bikers coming in, let's listen to Antonio Maio. Well, he's speaking in Portuguese, so for those of you who don't speak Portuguese, I'll try and listen into what Antonio is telling us.
Eu também, desportivamente também, fiz bom primeiro dia, apesar de ter...
In sporting terms, it's been a good day for me, he says.
Mas estou muito feliz por ter conseguido terminar este dia tão importante deste rally.
Obrigado, António. Boa sorte.
And important to be in a good frame of mind for the coming days as Lorenzo Santolino, the Sherco factory rider, just comes to the line there. Now, this is going to be, as you can already tell, thick and fast as these riders complete what is the end of a very long day for them. They were up early this morning for the prologue, then they did a 97-kilometre first stage through all this mud. Let's listen to Lorenzo Santolino speaking Spanish. A lot of water today. He had one crash. We're going to keep getting better day by day. So as I say, it's been a long day for these riders. They had 97 kilometres to do after the prologue, having got all of the scrutineering out of the way yesterday. And now they're just doing a short 3-kilometre stage. This is the second part of stage 1. And as you can see, it's been set up in such a way that we have 6 different cameras on the course, plus a drone as well. So getting all these fantastic live shots. Bradley Cox coming in now. He is the leading Rally 2 rider on the day. There are a total of, I think, 61. I wrote it down somewhere. I'm just trying to find the note. 61 bikers taking part, 61 people riding in the FIM class here.
How is the bike?
Bradley Cox, the first of the Rally 2 today.
In the stage, so for sure I get a penalty. Hopefully not too bad, but yeah, good day though. Good speed and good feeling. So
Bike is 100%.
yes, bike is great and ready to go.
Thank you very much.
Well, Bradley Cox just alluding to the fact there that he may get a penalty. He and Adrian van Beveren were both involved, possibly getting a little bit underway too quickly after the neutralisation zone today. So there are potential penalties to come. Those of you who aren't familiar with Rally Raid will know that there's one set of results on the line. Careful there, Pablo. There's one set of results when the stage finishes. The times come up on the live system, but then often there are penalties dished out later in the day. So you never entirely know with Rally Raid. That's why our standings, whenever we put standings out in our TV programs, always say provisional. Let's just have a listen into Pablo Quintanilla. He is also talking about the fact that there's lots of water on the track. And Sebastian Buda showing us that the water is there by screaming through that puddle.
Tu sabes o que é ganhar em Península Ibérica, ganaste em Andaluzia, vas atacar mañana e depois.
He's already won in Andalusia before, has Pablo, so he's won in this part of the world. Is he going to attack tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to give it a try tomorrow. Hopefully something a bit more open today. I did hear a little bit from Pablo earlier on in the day saying it was a bit of a strange first stage for him. Wasn't feeling extremely comfortable on the bike. He's not really like a lot of the top rally riders. They're not really used to these kinds of conditions. Although Sebastian Buda, the man who was just finishing the stage just before, is. We'll hear from him now.
Yeah, the day was good. It was difficult because of all the water. It was, yeah, the stage in the morning was quite short, but really difficult. So I'm happy with the day.
Thank you very much.
Now, Sebastian may be German on his passport and German on his license, but he grew up here in Portugal, so he's a man who knows this part of the world very well, a multiple winner of Baja Porto Alegre, which is the big Portuguese rally race that we'll be talking about throughout this evening. And here comes Ross Branch now, current leader of the World Rally Raid Championship. After his excellent second place at the Dakar Rally, he was second only to Ricky Brabeck of the Monster Energy Honda factory team, who's not present here in Portugal this week. So Ross finds himself in a position to extend his lead in the championship if he can score some good points. He was second in Abu Dhabi about a month ago behind his teammate Aaron Murray, who was actually stepped in for the injured Bula back in Abu Dhabi. So here's Ross, let's hear what he has to say.
An up and down day, you know, we had a big crash this morning, so just got to keep it in one piece for the rest of the rally, but beautiful area to ride in, the tracks were amazing, just got to slow it down a little bit.
Thank you very much, good luck.
Yeah, so hearing there that Ross Branch had a crash today. I think I heard him say that he came over one dip and sort of was expecting to go straight on, and there was a corner there, so he ended up going over the handlebars and into a bush, but no major damage. And either way, he's going to be definitely one of the men to watch throughout this week. And here's another man to watch as well, number 69, Edgar Canet, just 19 years of age. He's on the road to Dakar. That means that he's trying to get himself a ticket for the Dakar Rally.
Edgar, primero día muy bueno para ti.
A very good day for you, Edgar. Talk us through it.
Sí, primer día aquí en Portugal.
First day here in Portugal.
Muy contento de
Thank you.
terminar el día y de poder estar
Very
aquí
happy
para
with how it's gone
empezar
today.
mañana con más gas.
Gracias.
Yes, Edgar Canet, 19-year-old from Barcelona. You'll forgive me, it's not very easy to talk too much about these riders because they are coming thick and fast. You see Adrian van Beveren now is just a minute or so behind Edgar Canet. But yes, 19-year-old from Barcelona. He's already the Spanish motocross champion in the 85 and the 125cc classes. And he was signed by KTM Spain to target the National Motocross 2 title, then got injured and was invited to come along and do a bit of enduro at the final of the National Championship, and then took his first steps in Rally Raid with the Junas Raid in Morocco, where he came second behind young American hotshot Mason Klein. And then just last month, he won the first edition of the Oasis Rally in Tunisia, so definitely a man to watch out for. Let's hear from Tosha Shirena.
You know, not so easy to carry on everywhere, to find a rhythm, because it's really different than the rally we are used to do, but I'm happy with my feeling.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was actually Adrian van Beveren under that helmet, because that was definitely not the voice of Tosha Shirena. Adrian van Beveren also saying it wasn't the best day for him. This is his teammate Tosha Shirena coming in now, number 68. Now, Tosha was the quickest man in the prologue this morning, and the top 10 bikers, the fastest 10 bikers, got to choose their positions in the top 10. So Tosha chose to go off towards the back in 10th place, saying that it was better to be a little bit further back to be able to follow the lines of the riders in front of him. So we'll be able to hear from him in a moment. And just to give you an idea now, I'm just going to bring up the standings to give us an idea of where everybody has shaken out on this first day. Let's hear first from Tosha.
Sí, la verdad es que empecé muy bien la prólogo, luego afrontamos los 100 kilómetros de especial y bueno, en el inicio me
Only
pareció
100 kilometers today, we tried to enjoy it.
y perdí un poco, pero bueno.
I got lost at one point,
Una posición para no abrir pista y bueno, con ganas de
but I'm in a
mañana.
good position. I won't have to open tomorrow, and I'm happy. Yeah, as things stand, because as Bradley Cox alluded to, there may be penalties handed out a little bit later today. But as things stand, Bradley Cox has the scratch, that is to say the quickest time. He covered the course today in 1 hour, 11 minutes and 35 seconds. And that was 16 seconds quicker than Van Beveren and 40 seconds quicker than Shirena. And then a couple of minutes down, 2 minutes and 11 down, was Canet, the young 19-year-old that I just pointed out to you a few moments ago. Bula then at 2 minutes 15, Branch at 4:38. Followed then by Santolino, Howes, Meyer and Quintanilla in the top 10. Incidentally, if you are interested in seeing what is actually happening in the race as well, it's not necessarily so I'm just going to see if we can listen in to the man who's just come to the finish here, Bruno Santos.
alguns perigos, alguns locais que temos que ter muita cautela. Hoje, na especial grande, esta moto já andou com bastante água, mas foi desafio.
Again, talking about there being a huge amount of standing water, not always easy, especially with lots of corners in the first part of the stage.
Vai ser grande desafio, acho que vai ser grande rally. Estou ansioso
I think this is a great rally.
etapas e ver se consigo aqui alcançar lugar de pódio dentro da minha classe, que é esse o meu objetivo, conseguir andar aqui o melhor possível.
Boa sorte para amanhã, obrigado.
The national TT Rally Raid champion in 2018 and 2019, Bruno Santos. As we see the talented Frenchman Mathieu Devez now coming to the finish line. Man who finished 16th at this year's Dakar, Devez, 6th in the Rally 2 class. Romain Dumontier is the reigning Rally 2 W2RC winner. He'll be with us in a few moments as well, the Frenchman. As I was just saying before, it's not easy. You have to bear with me with all these interviews that are flying in. But what you can do if you're interested in seeing exactly what has happened today is you can go to the World Rally Raid Championship website, worldrallyraidchampionship.com. You'll find a link straight away for the live coverage, and that'll take you to all the live results. You can see things still happening right now as the bikes are coming in. The cars and the Challengers and the SSVs are all still out there battling their way through this mud like Dumontier is right now. So if you want to see what's happened and kind of compare and contrast and work out where people are in terms of the timings, I do suggest and recommend that you head onto the website to have a look at that.
Romain, how was your first day? You are leading the Rally 2. Is it important to get a good result in Portugal?
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to start good. I didn't know I was leading, but it's okay. It's a good news. We will see tomorrow what's happened.
Thank you, Romain. Romain, obrigado. O Romain aqui não percebeu bem a nossa questão.
So that was Romain Dumontier. It's not always easy when you have one graphic up on screen for the rider. I think the graphic that comes up on screen is always the rider that we can see in the background, Gonçalo Amaral, who's riding in the Rally 3 class, doing a fantastic job today. Gonçalo Amaral, his brother Salvador is also racing. A lot of the Portuguese riders are here today. It's fantastic to see, actually. Been looking at the timesheets today, been looking at the riders who are up there, and a lot of names that we're not necessarily familiar with. If you don't follow the Portuguese TT Championship or Todo Terreno, the all-terrain championship, then a lot of these names will be unfamiliar. But there's been some really impressive performances today from the Portuguese guys who know these tracks, these narrow spots, rather than the wide-open deserts that we're used to seeing in Rally Raid. Yeah, it's great to be up at the front of the class today. Just going to keep learning, keep improving. We'll be hearing in a moment from Manuel Andújar, the reigning champion in the quads at the Dakar, the man who had a fantastic battle with Alexandre Giroux in January and took out his second title after 2021, finishing 8 minutes ahead of the Frenchman. Well, the last time I saw Manuel was sort of saying goodbye to him after the Dakar. He's already got one set of tattoos that he got after winning his first title. I asked him if he was going to get any more tattoos for his second title, so I've yet to check in and see if he's had any more ink done. But Manuel Andújar is definitely going to be the man to beat in the quads this week. He's proven himself to be the top dog, and now looking to add World Championship success to that Dakar victory. Jean-Loup Lepont is the next man coming in, number 76, riding for the Dust team. And now we're going to hear from Manuel Andújar, the Argentine. He's going to keep fighting throughout the whole race. Oh, very brief response there from Manuel Andújar, but he'll be happy with his performance today. He was the quickest quad, or he was certainly the quickest quad when I checked the results a few moments ago. Yes, 1 hour, 25 minutes, 50 seconds for Andújar. The next fastest was the number 175 Kanop Kinas from Lithuania, a first-time finisher at the Dakar this year. He finished over 6 minutes down in the first part of the stage, so no doubt we'll see Kanop Kinas in a few moments.
Fantastic to come here. It's my first time and it's very,
Here's Jean-Louis
very
Lepont.
beautiful. A lot of water, but it's the game. It's a European run. It's a new track for me. I prefer the desert, but it's so beautiful to come here, and I am really happy.
Merci, bonne chance pour demain.
And that is a sentiment that we're going to hear repeated, I think, throughout this week. The top guys in Rally Raid, I should say the competitors who are at the top of the game in the Dakar and in Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, they're very much used to the desert terrain, the wide sweeping desert plains of Saudi Arabia and of course Abu Dhabi, the first 2 rounds of the World Rally Raid Championship so far this year. So to be here on these tiny narrow little tracks, and there's been a lot of rain in this part of Portugal the last kind of week, I would say. Saw some incredible images of the rallies that they were doing last week in the Portuguese Championship, absolutely covered in mud. And so that has made for difficult terrain, although not everyone's been too unhappy with it. Skylar House was saying earlier that it was actually great fun on this kind of wet dirt, and the sun has come out today, as you can see. But yeah, very, very different to what these guys are used to, very different to riding in the sand, riding on the dunes, and you couldn't get more different from Abu Dhabi, which was the last round, which is just simply dune after dune after dune for 5 straight days. This is going to be more technical, reminiscent a little bit of the Andalusia rally, which was held for several years after the COVID crisis happened, and they were kind of, I suppose, Rally Raid organisers had to scramble a little bit to find a new race to replace those that weren't able to take place during COVID. So in the Andalusia rally, we saw that as well, these kind of narrower tracks. Konrad Dabrowski coming in now, the Pole, who was one of the rare bikers to have done the Dakar and Abu Dhabi this year. Finished second in Abu Dhabi, which was an excellent result for him, Konrad Dabrowski.
Yeah, I am not really a fan of these conditions. It's a
so
big risk to go
Konrad
so fast
speaking.
in the narrow roads between the trees. So yeah, tough day, but I'm here to learn, and I hope every day will be better.
Thank you.
Martin Ventura, the man now coming in, another local hero, talented young Portuguese rider, part of the junior class here. There are several riders in the Rally 2 group who are junior riders. There are 6 of them in total, and he is one of them. And he was actually denied, Martin Ventura, he was denied victory at Baja Portalegre a couple of years ago in 2022 by 0.1 seconds from Antonio Mayo. Antonio Mayo's the record 8-time winner of Baja Portalegre. We saw him a little bit earlier on. And in that race, after more than 400 kilometers, there was 0.1 seconds separating them.
Já certo jogo, digamos assim, do que é esta competição. Uma queda, uma avaria na moto. Portanto, mas diversão e muito contente por ter já levado uma boa dose de aprendizagem. Portanto, agora é continuar e amanhã.
Very happy with the
zerar
day,
e voltar ao ataque.
even if it was difficult, and he's just going to keep going and keep attacking, keep staying positive. Here's another man who wants to keep staying positive, Harit Noah, one of the 2 Sherco TVS Rally factory riders here with Lorenzo Santolino. Now Sherco, one of the big factory teams, but they've actually decided this year not to take part in the World Rally Raid Championship. Last year they spent pretty much the whole season in development of this bike that you can see Harit is currently riding. And they're really happy with the progress they've made actually, because Lorenzo Santolino was looking very good. Unfortunately, he had technical problems at the Dakar and was forced to retire early. But Harit Noah, who is just going to be coming into the finish in a few seconds, he finished as the top Rally 2 rider, just outside the top 10 overall, but it was his best result for the Indian rider at the Dakar. And I'm sure he too is getting used to a slightly different terrain here. Kamil Wisniewski, the next man to come in on his quad. Kamil was also in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, but he was forced to withdraw there due to a problem with his onboard computer. And it looks like he has a problem right now, in fact, poor old Kamil Wisniewski. Bit of smoke coming out of the front of that Yamaha Raptor. Well, we'll see if someone can help him out or if Kamil can get going again. But for the time being, he's stranded about 150 meters from the finish line. Looks like he might be able to crawl his way to the line, but that's An unfortunate incident there for Kamil Wisniewski. Now, well, he has just about managed to get it going again. If you are going to break down in Rally Raid, best to do it somewhere where there are people to help you out. We saw something far more spectacular than that, actually, at the last round in Abu Dhabi when Łukasz Moraes in his Toyota Gazoo Racing Hilux arrived at the finish line with his car on fire, and everyone had to run as fast as they could to tell him to get out of the car. Seth Quintero in the lead, telling him to get clear and get out of the car. And luckily, Łukasz Moraes and his co-driver Armand Monleon were able to get out of the car, no problems. And the poor old car, unfortunately, went up in flames. It was quite an impressive image, but luckily everybody was okay. And nothing that dramatic there for Kamil Wisniewski.
My quad, no water. Yes, no speak English.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Well, water everywhere except where he needs it in his quad. So that'll serve as a little bit of a lesson, perhaps, for Kamil in the days ahead. Now, Josep Pedro, you can just see on his livery, all one, part of the Petrega team, but the all one team were a group of riders who took part in this year's Dakar, and they were riding in memory of Alex Livre, a young rider who died at the age of 26, tragically, a couple of years ago. And it was his brother, actually, who was looking, he was looking in amongst Alex's affairs, his things, and he found this list, a bucket list of things that Alex had dreamed of doing, and on that list was completing the Dakar. So his brother got a group of friends together, and they all went to the Dakar this year and did the Dakar in memory of their friend Alex. And I believe, from memory, that Josep was the top finisher of the team out there. He was 37th at the Dakar, so that was a nice little story, something that we talked about during the Dakar. Jan Brabec shares the name with the Dakar winner, no relation, of course, because he's from the Czech Republic, whereas Ricky Brabec is American, riding for Strooirent Racing, a big motocross and supercross star back home. That's how he got started in motorsport, Jan Brabec. And he's done both rounds this year. He was at the Dakar and he was in Abu Dhabi as well. Went pretty nicely in Abu Dhabi, finishing 5th in what was a much smaller field, actually. None of the Honda factory riders went to the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. It's great to have 4 of them back here for this event in Portugal. Just a reminder then that we are watching stage 1B, this very short second part of the first stage of the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal.
How was your first day?
Here is David Castor
but first day was tough for me because a lot of water.
Speaking
so
at
I'm
the finish
kind
line.
of struggling with the water, so we'll see tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck.
Pedro Gamito, incidentally, is the journalist from Sport TV who is asking the questions at the finish line. So thank you to him for his work today. And it's Carlos Vaz, the director of the feed, who is bringing us these pictures from the finish line. David Castor, this is a very nice story. Now, David is going to be turning 50 next week. And almost as a kind of 50th birthday present to himself, he's decided that he wants to go back to the Dakar, a race that he's done many, many times in the past. The veteran Frenchman, having had several years working as the team manager of the Sherco factory team. Something a little bit different for him this year, so he is hoping to go to the next rounds of the World Championship as well in Argentina and Morocco. And then we'll see David Castor making his comeback for the first time since 2016 on the Dakar. Antanas Kanapkinas, we mentioned earlier, the second quickest quad today, after the Dakar winner, Manuel Andújar. Kanopkinas is actually riding for quite an ambitious Chinese brand called CF Moto. It's a rather unusual, rather a different looking quad than the ones we're used to, because most of the quads that we see out here are Yamaha Raptors. See a little bit bulkier at the front. It's a very different look, especially the front of the quad here, the 175. And Antanas just completed his first Dakar in 5th place overall. Not bad going at all. He's entered the World Rally Raid Championship this year, so we'll be keeping an eye out for him as the season progresses. Now, here is the brother of Gonzalo Amaral, who we saw a little bit earlier on. This is Salvador Amaral. Perfect timing from the men in charge of the graphics. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, he and his brother Gonzalo are regulars on the National TT Championship in Portugal. TT meaning Todo Terreno, all-terrain. So they would have been used to this kind of enduro-style tracks with lots of mud and a bit of water. They've come to test themselves. It's an international rally raid, and their ultimate dream is to get themselves to the Dakar Rally. Now, number 47 coming here. This is not Kevin Benavides, as we have a little word with Salvador at the finish line.
Excelentemente bem, ali ao quilómetro 95, a faltar 2 ou 3 quilómetros para o final, tive aqui problema elétrico, se calhar derivado à água, mas pronto, consegui meter a moto a trabalhar e estamos cá.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
I'm just going to talk to you a little bit now as we keep, as you can see, this is just going to be now the rest of the riders coming in, the sort of the top guys, I suppose. The Rally GP guys have all come in now. So I'm just going to take a little bit of stock of what has happened today in the bikes. So a reminder that as things stand, because there may be penalties dished out a little bit later, so apologies if I lead you in the wrong direction at this point, but as things stand, Bradley Cox was the stage winner. So he was the stage winner, and in the bikes, unlike in the cars and the FIA classes, in the bikes all the times count. So the time from the prologue this morning will count, and the time also from today's 97-kilometre first part of the first stage, and then this short 3-kilometre stage that we're watching today. We're watching just the last little bit of it. That all counts for the bikes. So as things stand, Bradley Cox is leading the rally. He is leading by just 8 seconds from Adrian van Beveren and 30 seconds from Tosha Sharena. Then it's Edgar Canet from Spain, the 19-year-old, the teenager, who is in 4th place at 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Closely followed by Sebastian Bühler, who is German but who grew up in Portugal. His parents came here on holiday many, many years ago and loved it so much that they moved over here full time. So the most Portuguese of German riders, Sebastian Bühler, is 5th. He's followed by his teammate from the Hero Motorsports Team Rally, Ross Branch, the current W2RC leader in the bikes. He's at 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Then Lorenzo Santolino at 4:45. Skylar Howes at 4:57. We heard that Skylar had a few troubles this morning, and he was opening, of course, so the riders behind him were able to catch up a little bit of time. And then Antonio Mayo and Pablo Quintanilla round out the top 10. 5 minutes and 11 seconds in total separating the top 10 riders. Just saw Adria Pasquet there, is the man coming in now. Pasquet from the Joyride Race Service. He is actually the Spanish all-terrain rally champion in the Enduro class from 2023. So another one of these talented riders who is looking to get himself to the Dakar. In fact, there are no fewer than 18 of the 36 riders, so half the class in Rally 2 are on the road to Dakar. That means that they are trying to get good enough finishes at these rallies throughout the season to earn themselves a ticket for the big one. And much as these rallies are always fantastic, and it's always fascinating to kind of see the different kinds of terrain that these riders have to be able to master. And that was a point that Ross Branch made. Actually, I was messaging Ross a little bit in the days building up to the rally, and he said that ultimately to be the world champion you have to be able to ride every kind of terrain, whether it's the rocky enduro stuff, whether it's the big dunes, the huge sweeping dunes of the empty quarter that we saw on the Dakar, or the dunes in Abu Dhabi, the never-ending dunes in in Ruba Al Khali in the empty quarter of Abu Dhabi as well. But you also have to be able to do it on these tracks here, and then the WRC style tracks in Argentina at the start of June when we go to Argentina for Desafío Ruta 40. And then finally, of course, the ultimate kind of tune-up for the Dakar is the Rally du Maroc, the Morocco Rally in October, where you always get all the teams there and building themselves up for the big one. So it's really, really important. Now, Pedro Pinheiro, nice, giving us a little bit of a wheelie there. Really important for these riders to be able to do a little bit of everything, to be able to handle their bikes in every kind of terrain. And of course, this is the thing about modern rally raid now. It's so, so fast, especially at the highest level. It is so quick. And that was something that Adrian van Beveren mentioned about today's stage, even if it was relatively short for a rally stage, 100 kilometers with these two parts. It was very intense. Talked about the intensity of that first day's racing. Well, Pinheiro is determined to get as many wheelies in as possible, getting himself into the finish line there. Very nice to see. A very spectacular finish to the day. How was it?
Caí logo no final, na última curva. O percurso está muito bom. Duas quedas por ser a primeira vez, pouco infantil, mas o balanço.
A little bit of fatigue, but feeling okay. I have to apologise. Portuguese is not my strong suit. I can understand a little bit. I'm better if they were to speak in French or Spanish. It's a little bit easier for me, but Portuguese, it's not my best. So bear with me for the old Portuguese translations. Ronald Venter coming in now from the Nomad Racing team, South African rider. Just take you through exactly what has gone down today. Now, we talked a little bit about the results in the bikes overall. I'm going to talk about more specifically about the Rally 2 riders who finished where. So it's Bradley Cox who's leading both the Rally and the Rally 2 class. Then Edgar Canet, Dumontier, Santos, Mathieu Dauvez, all very close on time actually, only around 30 seconds separating them. Then Pascual, the Argentine rider, is at 9 minutes ahead of Le Pont. Jean-Louis Le Pont is the current W2RC leader in that class. Then we have Harit Noah, Konrad Dabrowski, and Alex Vaudon, the Swiss rider. Aid Bassam of Lebanon coming in now. And he's one of the riders who's been getting help from Pedro Bianchi-Prata. Pedro Bianchi-Prata, who's been riding a bike for 20 years at least. He when the Dakar Rally started in Lisbon back in the mid-noughties, 2006 and 2007. And Pedro was back then. He was riding as a support rider for Helder Rodriguez, and he's kind of always had that element of wanting to help others throughout his career, has Pedro, and this is one of the riders that he's helping out on this rally. Number 80 just coming in now. Rafik Aid, who works as a head coach at the MX Academy, the motocross academy in Lebanon. He's another man who's on the road to Dakar 2025. So been busy this week doing training, riding, navigation training with Pedro Bianchi-Prata. It's quite interesting actually to go a little bit further down into these sort of lower parts of the standings, because you perhaps don't realise sometimes when you're watching the highlights of the Dakar Rally. Yes, we talk a great deal when we do our Dakar highlights about the elite riders. We talk a lot about who's winning the rally. There's a limit in some respects to what we can show, even on a rally like the Dakar, where we have 4 television helicopters. Or Marcin Wilkalek, a little bit like Wisniewski, perhaps having a little bit of trouble in these last few corners, but looks like he's okay. Yes, in terms of what can be shown on the Dakar Rally and how much footage we get coming in, there is an incredible amount of it, but I suppose almost naturally the focus, because there is so much going on, the focus tends to be on the bigger stories and the bigger riders. You know, a little bit later we're going to be seeing the likes of Carlos Sainz, who is back for this race, having missed Abu Dhabi, the winner of the Dakar Rally. We're going to be seeing the Sebastian Loebs and the Nasser Al-Attiahs of the world. But it's fantastic as well to get a little chance to sort of shine the limelight on these riders who who are not professionals, who are not doing this. They're not paid to do this by big brands like Red Bull or Toyota or whoever else it might be. This is guys who are simply living their passion in a very pure kind of fantastic way. And that's what we love about the Dakar. That's what we love about Rally Raid in general. Seeing these guys who have normal jobs, who have to scrimp and scrave. I mean, you take Skylar House as a good example, actually, of a kind of a rags to riches story, because Skylar was a privateer for many years before he finally worked himself up to getting that contract with the Husqvarna factory team, and then joining last year, joining the Honda factory team as well. But I remember talking to Skylar when he told me that a few years ago to fund his entry to the Dakar one year, he had to sell all his old bikes and all his old T-shirts. He said, I had enough clothes to get up and go to work in the morning, but apart from that, I'd sold everything else. So it is a kind of a crazy sport. These people who kind of get Rally Raid. There's an old cliche about Rally Raid that if you go to the desert, you get a grain of sand lodged in your heart, and once you have it lodged there, you can't get it out again. I suppose for Portugal, we could talk about having a splat of mud in your heart or something like that. But the idea is that you have you can't let go. And I don't know how many people I talk to every year who say that they go home from the Dakar thinking the last thing I want to do is go back to the Dakar, and then a week after they get home, they're thinking about signing up for next year. Now, this is what we like to see as well, a little bit of helping each other out. And that is Adrian Costes, number 57, who's requiring a tow here from his fellow Frenchman, Romain Souvignier. So obviously, Adrien has had some kind of problem. So good to see that his pal, Romain, is helping him out here. Romain, another rider, just on the right of the screen now, Romain Souvignier, who's on the road to Dakar. It's not easy. Blimey, it's not easy with a tow rope getting over those big ruts in the road. But solidarity, this is very much something that we see a lot of as well in Rally Raid. So the two Frenchmen getting a bit of a round of applause from the crowds here. And also fantastic to see the crowds. You can see all in the background there. Plenty of people out here welcoming the riders. We are in Grandola. We're about an hour south of Lisbon, the capital of Portugal. This rally is taking place principally in Portugal. 4 of the 5 stages are in Portugal. We are going to go to Spain on stage 4. So that's nice for some of the competitors like Carlos Sainz and Cristina Gutierrez, who we'll see a little bit later on today. The Spanish, Lorenzo Santolino, talked about it as well. And this is a part of the world where they absolutely love motorsports. The W2RC events. Rally Portugal has been going on here for almost 60 years. This year we'll have the 38th edition of Baja Porto Alegre, which is one of the most famous Bajas in the world. It looks like our 2 French pals are going to make it to the finish line. It'd be nice if we hear from them as well, actually. I hope that we'll get a word with them on the finish line. Here's another of the all-one riders now. Slowly but surely, Sergio Fernandez coming in now. So slowly but surely, we are making our way down this list. And it just goes to show, actually, if you get an impression, really, of the speed of the elite guys in this sport when you start to see the gaps, how big the gaps open up. You get the first few coming in. I don't know if you were with me at the start of this live feed or not, but I barely had time to say somebody's name before they were, boom, at the finish line. And then the interview came, and then they were gone.
A lot of fair play
here we go.
Helping Adrien.
Yes,
let's hear from our 2 French
friends. It's a Rally Raid solidarity. It's a good moment. We want every people want to finish the Rally Raid.
Thank you very much. Let's talk with Adrien. Adrien, what happened?
My engine is broken during the liaison before the special. And he have a big yard, and he helped me to finish the day and go to bivouac.
Thank you very much. Good luck for tomorrow.
Well, a disaster for Adrian Costes, but great that he was able to get a helping hand there from Romain Souvignier. And that could mean a busy evening in the bivouac trying to get that bike repaired. Hopefully he'll be able to go on. Now we see another of our quad riders, quad lady coming in here. This is Aileen Bogado, al-attiyah for short. And she actually did her first major international rally raid at last year's Desafío Ruta 40 back on home soil in Argentina. She had a lot of problems actually. She had a difficult rally there, did ALN. She had engine problems. One of her teammates who was riding a bike crashed as well. And so it was a difficult experience, but a good one. And it's great to see that ALN is here in Portugal. She's come over the Atlantic to take part in this rally because she, like so many others here, dreams of doing the Dakar rally. So that's something that she's building up to. I think there is a second woman who's...
¿Qué ha sucedido?
En una curva, fly, volé. Así que bueno, pero todo bien.
So there was one corner where she flew off track, but apart from that, everything was good. And she's happy to be going on with the race. So Aileen Bogado there. We might hear as well, perhaps we'll see Suani Martinez, who's the other woman taking part in the quads. In fact, 10 quads taking part here in at the BP International Rally Raid Portugal, which is as many quads as there were at the rally at the Dakar earlier this year. So it's good to see the quads out in force, as it were. 10 of them and 7 of them taking part in the W2RC. As we see another of our South African riders, Dwayne Barnard, coming into the finish now. I have to admit that I have completely lost count of how many bikes have so far come in. I can tell you that we have a total of 61 starters in the bikes and quads as well. Bikes and quads counted. No, sorry, excuse me. Start again. We have 61 FIM competitors. So that does include the quads. There are 8 Rally GP riders. 6 of them are doing the W2RC. Then we have 36 in Rally 2. That includes 7 in the W2RC, 6 juniors, 7 veterans, and 18 who are on the road to Dakar. So 18 who are trying to get that all-important golden ticket throughout the course of the season. Then we have just 7 riders in the Rally 3 class. And the Rally 3 class is really for riders who are getting to grips with Rally Raid as almost like an introduction to Rally Raid. 7 of them, and all of them in the World Championship. And this is the first Rally 3 event of the season, actually. There was no Rally 3 class at the Dakar or in Abu Dhabi. So the first, and Jose Flores, who's just coming in, is taking part in that Rally 3 class. So he's one of the 7 riders who is looking to improve, looking to gain experience, a Spanish rider. So comes from just over the border, not too far from where we are. And we'll be going into the Extremadura region of Spain a little bit later in the week on stage 4. And then finally the 10 quads that I mentioned. So 10 quads, 7 of those in the W2RC. So we will keep just watching our bikers come in. Keep an eye out for who else might be coming in these last sort of few riders. Then we'll have a short break at some point, and then we will be going through all the FIA classes as well. We have 87 starters in the FIA classes, so plenty of people to get a closer look at, and plenty of stories no doubt unfolding already. So a reminder that Bradley Cox was the stage winner, or is currently the stage winner of stage 1 of the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. This new event happening in Portugal and Spain. Round 3 out of 5 on the World Rally Raid Championship, and with lots of points up for grabs as well. Those of you who aren't familiar with the championship, well, in the bikes, the points are dished out at the end of the rally. So there are no points given on the stages. It's only in the car classes that points are dished out for stage position. So in the bikes, those who have entered the W2RC will get their points, if they have earned points, at the end of the rally. Once all the positions have been decided and we know where everyone has finished up, and the points are dished out, and then we'll be able to get our calculators out and find out who is leading the standings. Francisco España, another member of that 4-man team that's been set up here by Pedro Bianchi Prata. So again, another man who's been able to make the most of Pedro's extensive experience. I mentioned that Pedro was a rider He also worked as a team coordinator for the Honda factory team, the HRC team. So he's really a man who knows all about not just riding in rallies, but the organizational side of things, the team manager side of things. That's a wonderful shot, by the way, of the static drone there. One of my favorite things to watch out for in Rally Raid is what they call the FPV drone, the first person view drone. I'm not sure if there are going to be FPV drones used on this rally, but certainly when we go to Argentina for Desafío Ruta 40, there will be FPV drones, and the footage is fantastic because the drone goes so quick, it can go almost at the same speed as perhaps not the top cars.
Foi duro, uma boa etapa.
Very hard first stage.
Como temos muito tipo de terreno. Dava para andar rápido, mas era preciso ter cuidado com a areia, umas curvas apertadas, mas foi muito divertido.
But had a good time out there, had some fun.
E vamos a mais.
Muitos pilotos têm-se queixado também da água e
A lot of people have talked to us about the water on the track. What did you make of it?
Está cheio de água, nós já sabíamos, tinha chovido bastante as últimas semanas, mas tem bocadinho se calhar
Yeah,
mais
there's been a lot of rain in the last week,
previsto.
so I was kind of expecting
Nós
it.
estamos à espera, vamos rápido, estamos à espera de passar umas poças pequeninas e às vezes são muito grandes, interrompem a
managed to
moto
avoid
toda.
too many errors
Mas pronto, acho que a moto se tem safado, apesar das
had a pretty
dificuldades,
good
tem sido
day.
divertido.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
So I was talking a little bit there about the rankings in the World Rally Raid Championship. I was just going to give you a reminder of who's actually leading the championship and by how much. So Ross Branch is on top after coming second in the World Championship standings at any rate. He was second at the Dakar behind Ricky Brabeck, and then he was second behind Aaron Murray among Rally GP riders in Abu Dhabi. So he picked up 20 points there and 30 points in the Dakar, as we now see Pedro Bianchi Prata, the man that I've mentioned a couple of times, number 77. So he is temporarily borrowing, I suppose, Luciano Benavides' number, with Luciano not currently here. Luciano and his brother Kevin, Sam Sunderland, Daniel Sanders, in case you're wondering why they're not here. They haven't, KTM Group haven't entered this rally, and they haven't entered the World Championship this year. So here is Pedro.
Não foi como eu esperava. Arranquei bem, a especial estava espetacular, uma areia linda no início.
Very nice at the
alguma
start,
sujidade que tinha na gasolina entrou no injetor, tive que desmontar a moto toda. Perdi muito tempo para arranjar a moto, mas o Rally Raid é mesmo assim. As coisas podem acontecer, sorte que eu levo sempre com a ferramenta toda. E estou aqui no final da etapa, agora amanhã é outro dia, ainda falta muitos quilómetros.
Tomorrow is another day, is what he said. So perhaps not the best day out there for Pedro, but tomorrow is another day, as it will be for all of these guys. Tomorrow is another day that will take them from Grandola to Grandola. So it's a loop around the Grandola where we are at the moment. And there'll be a total of 228 kilometers to cover. Of that 228 kilometers, 193 are special section. So as always with these smaller rallies, these one-week rallies, the distances are not what you would find on the Dakar Rally. On the Dakar Rally, you're talking about 350 to 400 kilometers of special per day for 2 weeks. So in terms of endurance, it really is another level altogether. Just looking through what lies ahead, we have 193 kilometers of special on stage 2 tomorrow. Then we have around between 374 for the FIM classes and 388 for the FIA classes on stage 3. Stage 4 is when we will be going into Spain. That is a day of 251 kilometers of special. And then the final day, 103 kilometers of special as well. And actually, that's something I should point out, is that this is not the only live broadcast that we're going to be doing this week. My colleague and friend, Jack Nichols, will be speaking to you on Sunday. He'll be doing live coverage of the final stage, and he'll have a chance to kind of sum up everything that's happened. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Ferran taking a little bit of a spill there. And I'm sure that he was not the only one to whom that happened today. Just the unfortunate man to do it while the camera was on him. Yeah, real test of handling. Ferran Zaragoza, Spanish rider, another man from the Pedrega team, and just look at the mud. Look at the mud on this quad rider. Alberto Prieto Ruiz is absolutely covered in the stuff. He's had a good day out, hasn't he? Well, this is not a sport for the faint of heart. So as I was saying, Jack will be with you on Sunday to be giving you more of a lowdown. I'm suppose trying to give more of a profile of what lies ahead and where everyone's set in the championship at the moment. And by Sunday, of course, we'll pretty much know or have a very good idea where it's all going to shake out and who the winners and losers will be of this third round of the World Rally Raid Championship. And this is also an event that counts towards the National Portuguese Championship, but it's only the first 2 days. So the times will be taken the first 2 days for riders who have entered the Portuguese TT Championship. So it's also important for them as well, not just to be here rubbing shoulders, as it were, with the big guns, the elite riders from the Dakar, but also battling for their national championship. And just look at that mud absolutely everywhere on that Yamaha. Don't know if we'll be hearing perhaps from Alberto in a moment, just to let us know what happened there. You can see now the line of cars, the line of bikes and quads, sorry, is slowing up as we are reaching the last of our FIM competitors. Let's just have a little word here with Alberto.
És o único concorrente com uma Polaris. ¿Cómo está la carrera para los quads?
How was it out there for the quads?
Muy complicada.
Very difficult, no surprises.
At the beginning, a lot of sand. So that was so difficult, and a lot of water. And in the second part of the race, so I think quads are having especially problems.
Gracias.
Yes, and apologies as well to Alberto, because I said he was on a Yamaha, because I just assumed that everyone's on a Yamaha in the quads, but no, he's on a Polaris, as that was pointed out to us there. Gustavo Villa, the fourth and final member of the team off-road at Centre Bianchi Prata, coming in now, rider from Argentina. Now, Pedro was kind enough to send me a little voice note just before we got going at this rally, saying he was just delighted to have an event of this kind of dimension, of this magnitude here in Portugal. An honour to have a W2RC race in our country, is what he told me. And he said that even though he started 2 Dakar rallies in his country, this was a little bit different, and it was a little bit special to have a full race here in Portugal with that 1 day in Spain as well. And he was saying, and he was hoping that Orlando Romano, who's the man who's in charge of the sporting side of this, the sporting director, I suppose, of the rally, the man who's in charge of putting together the road book, he was saying, I hope he's got some challenges for us. And I think based on the state of some of the riders today, the challenges are certainly going to be there throughout this week. So yes, 2 Portuguese riders, this man from Argentina and the rider from Lebanon that we saw a little bit earlier on, making up this 4-man team, and all home safely to fight another day, which is what we like to see.
Gustavo, como foi?
Gustavo,
thank you. Como foi o teu primeiro dia?
How was your
first
day?
It was a little bit muddy, as you may see. It was fast on the first 40 kilometers, and then it became really dangerous because it was a lot of mud. I fell twice, one in the mud. Okay. So, yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
You had some problems. You ended this stage very slowly.
Well, I'm tired. I can't pull the gas anymore, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again to our friend Pedro Gamito from Sport TV, who is asking the questions at the finish line, keeping us informed, giving us a little bit of reaction to what's gone on out there today. It's a bit of a thankless task, to be honest, being an ASS, as the French term, being a finish line journalist in Rally Raid can be a long day out sometimes, especially if the weather is warm. So thank you to him for bringing us all that information. I suspect that we will have just a couple more bikes a few stragglers, as it were, still to come. But we shall wait for them. We are in no hurry. We're not going anywhere because we will then, of course, have all the cars coming in as well. The Ultimates, the Challengers, the SSVs, plenty of crews. And you can see this is a provisional classification so far. So Bradley Cox on top. And everybody here except for Edgar Canet taking part in the World Rally Raid Championship. You can see indicated on the right. AVB in second, and we still have to wait. As I have mentioned once or twice, there may be some penalties. There may be penalties for this man. Bradley Cox himself said at the finish line that he thought he might get a penalty. Unfortunately, that is something that cannot be decided until the bike is back at the bivouac and the FIM stewards and commissaires get access to the information on the bike from the tracking systems. So we will have to wait and find out. So I might tell you one thing today, and then you'll come and look tomorrow morning and it'll have completely changed. But that is very much the nature of Rally Raid. There are penalties dished out late in the day, and then sometimes a penalty is dished out and there will be an appeal, and the appeal will be successful, so the penalty's cancelled. So you never exactly know. But anyway, we're just getting some replays of our top 5 on the day. 19-year-old Canet there, sponsored by Kinney. You can see Heinz Kinney-Gardner. He took part in an event just last month that's organised by the great Heinz Kinney-Gardner. Red Bull as well. So clearly a lot of people believe in that young man. Sebastian Bühler, the local lad, multiple winner of Baja Portalegre. He put down a good time today as well for Hero. Hero are here with 2 riders, with Sebastian and with their leader in the World Championship, which is Ross Branch. Then in the quads, we can just say we're just having a time for a short break. So if you'd all like to go and put the kettle on, I think I will just go and get myself a little coffee or something, and I shall be back very shortly. We're going to return in a few moments, and then we're going to start to look at who's coming in the cars. So do come back and join us again in a few moments. Thanks for tuning in so far, and I'll be back in just a few moments. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to our live coverage of BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. Just to remind you that this is the second part of the first stage of the rally on what has been a very busy Wednesday, the 3rd of April, for our competitors in Portugal. They were up early this morning for the prologue of around 4 kilometres between Grandola and Santiago de Cacém. And then a little bit later in the day, starting sort of late morning for the bikes and early afternoon for the cars and the challengers, it was a 100 kilometre or 97 kilometre loop from Santiago de Cacém back to here in Grandola, where we're at the finish line. And we're just looking at pictures of our top man in the bike so far, Bradley Cox, number 18, currently leads the way, although we are waiting on a potential penalty for the South African. In second spot, Adrian van Beveren, number 42, the Monster Energy Honda factory rider. And his teammate, Tosha Sharena, the fastest man in this morning's prologue on 2 wheels, currently sits in 3rd place ahead of the surprise package of the day, Edgar Canet, teenager from Barcelona, who's mixing it up with the big boys. Fantastic effort for him to go 4th fastest through this muddy, wet first stage, although the sun was out after a week of heavy rainfall in Portugal. We're about an hour south of Lisbon. Sebastian Bühler currently making up the top 5 in the bikes, and it's Manuel Andújar, the reigning Dakar champion, who is quickest in the quads. It's often the case when Manuel Andújar lines up on a rally raid. Kanop Kinas, the Lithuanian, is currently 2nd quickest among the quads. And very shortly we'll be seeing the first cars arriving as well. Just getting these shots of the different competitors arriving at the finish line. Poor old Kamil Wisniewski had a bit of trouble. He was held up for a few minutes there. And a few of the quad riders were complaining about the problems that they'd faced because of all the water and the mud. We also saw a couple of bikes being towed in at the finish line. Little problem there again. So we're at the finish line of the first stage and we are waiting for the first cars to come in. Now I can tell you that this morning in the short prologue, the cars were actually, there were only 3 cars in the top 10 on the prologue because it was very short and narrow, dirty tracks, muddy tracks. So it was actually 7 of the challengers who ended up in the top 10 spots in the prologue. But of course, they've had a chance to stretch their legs a little bit more over the 97 kilometres of the first special. So I can give you a little update at the moment of the current standings in the cars in the ultimate class. Just trying to find the right place on the website. So the current scratch time, or the fastest man throughout the first special, was Guerlain Chichery, the Frenchman, driving for Overdrive Racing. And he was just 27 seconds ahead of his teammate Yazid Al-Raji. And then Vaidotas Zala in 3rd place.
Sim, João, boa tarde mais uma vez. Boa tarde. De facto, o público correu em força para ver as motas, mas agora é a razão para dizer que estão aqui muito mais em peso em relação àquilo que vimos na parte inicial da tarde, sobretudo também porque os nomes são outros, são nomes diferentes, com maior peso no desporto motorizado mundial. E está aqui muita gente. Já tivemos muita gente para ver as motas, é verdade, mas muito mais agora para termos grandes nomes do Carlos Sainz, que de resto lidera o campeonato do mundo e vem de uma vitória histórica no Rally Dakar. Foi o primeiro piloto a conquistar a vitória com 4 construtores diferentes e também o primeiro sempre na história do Rally Dakar a fazê-lo com um carro híbrido. Al-attiyah,
Carlos Sainz currently 5th fastest,
também outro nome
according to the live
do PP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. E
standings on the website. Lucas Moraes is just between Sala and Sainz in 4th place. Then we have Saud Variawa, Nasser Al-Attiyah in 7th place, but only 1 minute and 20 seconds off the pace, so that won't trouble the Qatari too much. Christian Baumgart is 8th, with local hero João Ferreira running at the top 10, just behind Francisco Barreto. So this is Pedro just giving us a little bit of a summing up, I suppose, of what's happened so so far today.
Não esquecer também que esta prova nos dias 3, 4 e 5 conta para
And now looking ahead to what is coming later in the rally.
Também será importante sentir o pulso aos primeiros classificados.
I can actually talk to you a little bit about the route because we had some quotes yesterday from Orlando Romana, the sporting director of the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. He said that the route of this year's rally is the fruit of his 35-year experience in races such as Porto Alegre, Baja 1000, Transibérico, Estoril, Marrakesh, and various rallies like that, and also the first year of the Dakar in 2006. So Orlando has told us that on stage 2 tomorrow we're going to have half sand and half hard terrain. Then on stage 3 we'll be heading north towards the heart of the country on the tracks of Baja Porto Alegre, as we see our first man coming in now to the line. 2:14. This is João Ferreira, local hero, two-time winner of Baja Porto Alegre in 2022 and 23. And actually we've got used to seeing João Ferreira in a much smaller car than this. He was riding for X-Raid Yamaha in the T3s, or the Challenger class, for much of 2023, and then actually switched to the T4s, the SSVs, towards the end of the season. He and Felipe Palmeiro had a good result in Morocco, at the Rally du Maroc. They were on top there. They won their class, and now João is back in the big car, the Mini John Cooper Works Rally Plus, the same car, incidentally, that Carlos Sainz is driving here as well. Just ripping it round these last few corners, João Ferreira. And I can tell you that João is delighted to be here taking part in this rally. Now we can see hot on his heels is number 202, Guélin Chichery, in the colours of the Fall Guy. So the car's coming in now. We'll be hearing, no doubt, from... well, yes, a very important point as well. We'll just listen to João Ferreira and we'll come back to Guélin Chichery.
Muitas mudanças de piso e zonas muito estreitas, como éramos o segundo carro na estrada, prejudicou-nos um bocadinho, mas a corrida é muito longa pela frente e esta super especial final foi gira, foi divertida, rápida,
really técnica. Enjoyed the fast finish to the stage, João Ferreira.
Boa sorte para amanhã, João. Obrigado.
Just to point out that Mathieu Baumel, you'll recognise the name, most of you. Mathieu Baumel, of course, that was one of the big stories earlier this season, that Mathieu Baumel and Nasser Al-Attiyah were ending their collaboration. So they went their separate ways after the Dakar, where things didn't go well for them in the Pro Drive Hunter. And Mathieu Baumel has now teamed up with Guélin Chichery, and they actually did their first Dakar together back in 2005. And I think they kept going for at least until 2009. So 15 years later, the two Frenchmen back together in the Toyota, and it'll be fascinating to see how they go this week.
It was good. It was really, really narrow, super slippery, really muddy, easy to make mistake. But you know, we stay on the road, did good.
The machine is okay.
Yeah, machine is really great. You know, car is going good. I start to feel really confident with the driving this car. So yeah, let's see.
Okay, thank you very much.
I just noticed the director of the Dakar Rally, David Castero, trying to get Guélin Chichery's attention there at the finish line. So he's obviously here as well to see how things are progressing in this third round of the World Rally Raid Championship. Yeah, so fascinating to see this combination of Chichery and Baumel, who started out together in Rally Raid, and with Nasser Al-Attiyah having replaced Mathieu Baumel with another Frenchman, Edouard Boulanger, as his co-pilot. And Chichery's co-pilot is currently injured, Alex Vinoc, after their big crash in Abu Dhabi. So a little bit of chopping and changing in the right-hand seats of these cars. Just look at the way these big ultimate cars chew up the dirt. Marcus Baumgart was just coming in there, incidentally, as I was talking about Guélin Chichery. Apologies, it is a little bit difficult when all these competitors set off at 1 minute intervals earlier, so there's not a great deal of time between each arrival to speak about what's going on. Let's hear from one of the Baumgart brothers.
Infelizmente, no final, faltando 8 quilômetros, teve uma oliveira, pulou na minha frente uma pequena árvore, me tortou a bandeja, mas chegamos aqui, que é importante.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Little problem early in the day, but nothing major. A decent outing for them as well. And this is Lionel Beau coming in with his daughter Lucy there. Lionel Beau's so experienced. He's been involved in Rally Raid for at least 30 years. And since last year, he's been driving with his daughter Lucy. They had a few problems in Abu Dhabi, got stuck on the third stage there. On a day where there were a lot of problems for a lot of different riders and crews, actually. Slowly but surely, our different cars are making their way into the finish line. Tiago Reis just coming in there, number 217. Along with Walter Cardoso. He's one of the top national drivers, Tiago Reis. Portuguese TT champion this year, or I should say 2023, so he's the reigning champion. And he was also champion in 2019 and 2021. And he is one of the riders who's involved in the Portuguese Championship, so he'll be looking to pick up points, pick up time in these first 2 days, because only the first 2 days of racing will count towards the National Championship. So it's great to see these top Portuguese drivers going head-to-head with the likes of Yazid Al-Rajhi.
Tiago, como foi este primeiro dia?
So, Tiago, how was the first day?
Além do troço não foi o melhor possível, que esperávamos, mas chegámos ao fim, os dias não são grandes, por isso estamos satisfeitos.
Vocês estão a defender o título e também a liderança do campeonato. Este tipo de piso é muito diferente daquele que encontraram no Monte São Bento.
Sim, completamente diferente, e hoje ainda por cima fomos o quinto carro na estrada, apanhamos o piso com muita água, muita lama, foi muito difícil, não queríamos fazer nenhuma avaria pelo caminho, por isso temos um ritmo calculoso e conseguimos, acho que fizemos o 15º lugar, não foi perfeito, mas estamos aqui, é o mais importante.
Wasn't perfect,
boa sorte para amanhã, Tiago.
We'll keep looking forward. So Tiago Reis, number 217. Already seen a couple of the Portuguese drivers. The first man in was João Ferreira. So as things stand, it's Gelan Shishiri who has the scratch, who has the leading time for the day, ahead of this man, Yazid Al-Rajhi, who's only 27 seconds down. Now this is one of the Toyota Gazoo racing teams. This is Lucas Morais. The last time that we saw Lucas Morais' car, it was on fire, but let's hear from Yazid
for
first.
us, it's very nice. We are happy, and thank you for organizer to make this race very nice, and thank you for all spectators and also for the mayor to support our sport. Thank you for everybody in Portugal.
Good luck for tomorrow.
So Yazid Al-Rajhi off to a solid start, one of the most consistent men in Rally Raid. He's been on the podium in the World Rally Raid Championship in the past 2 seasons. Lucas Morais, what a start he's had to his Rally Raid career. 3rd at the Dakar in 2023, and he was on course for another podium this year, actually. But on the penultimate stage, a broken arm, I think it was, a broken swing arm, cost him a lot of time. He dropped down to 9th overall.
Muito divertido, isso posso dizer.
Great fun, says Lucas Morais. It's great to be here in Portugal.
Mas tem 4 dias ainda pela frente, mas primeiro completado entre os 5
do Mundial. A little bit difficult with the braking in the first part, but had a lot of fun.
Perfeita, a equipe entregou mais uma vez o carro perfeito. Nos divertimos e é isso, amanhã tem mais.
We had a lot of fun, looking forward to more tomorrow. So here comes the winner of the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, the man that we're always keeping a close eye on in Rally Raid, Nasser Al-Attiyah, with his new co-driver, Edouard Boulanger. I was talking a few moments ago about the fact that Nasser and Mathieu Baumel, after a 10-year relationship in which they had so much success, went their separate ways just after this year's Dakar. And things obviously going better for Nasser in the Pro Drive Hunter. Some improvements made in Abu Dhabi where he won alongside Edouard Boulanger, former co-driver, of course, of Stefan Petter-Hansel. So no doubt we'll hear from Nasser in just a moment's time. As here he is.
How was your first day?
Very good day, you know. We finished without any problem, but it's, the stage, the previous, the 100K was very difficult, not easy, but okay. We managed, and tomorrow will be big push.
Are you expecting to reduce the gap to Carlos?
Yeah, it's okay, no problem, you know, and tomorrow is still a long way.
Okay, good luck for tomorrow, Nasser.
So 1 minute and 20 seconds in arrears, Nasser Al-Attiyah at the end of the first stage. 1 minute and 20 down on Gelan Shishiri. And he's actually just 5 seconds behind Carlos Sainz, the man that he is trailing in the World Rally Raid Championships. That is going to be the defining battle, I suppose, of this week in terms of the W2RC. As we see Guillaume de Mévius, who took that brilliant 2nd place on the Dakar, coming in. And the first of our challengers now from the G Rally team.
Hello, Guillaume. It was a tough first day for you.
Yeah, tough day for us. We had some mechanical problem this morning. So, I mean, the beginning of the afternoon. So, yeah, it's like that. Sometimes it's happened, but now we have to focus on tomorrow.
Full attack for tomorrow?
Full attack.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Okay, so perhaps not the best day then for the Belgian Guillaume de Mévius. There's a car coming in now that is actually supported by his team. The G Rally team is the team of de Mévius and his father, Grégoire, the man that he followed into rally. Grégoire took part in the Dakar several times back in the 1990s. So we're starting to see the first buggies now coming to the finish line. And it's almost very difficult to make out the numbers on the sides of these cars because they're splattered in so much mud. But we'll be hearing from a few of the challengers in due course. I'm currently fighting with the online thing. This is Diaz, I believe, who's speaking to us.
Mas pronto, são 5 dias de corrida, estamos estamos contentes, não temos nada no carro e agora preciso de acabar uma corrida e espero bem que seja esta. Portanto, domingo, espero bem estar bem classificado.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Obrigado.
I'm afraid his accent was a little bit too strong for me to decipher that interview, so apologies. But a really impressive run today from Diaz and Miranda for the Santag Racing team. So the standings in the T3s as they stand in the Challenger class for the time being. Diaz and Miranda with a scratch of 1 hour 13 minutes and 39, followed by Alexandra Pinto. Then Rokas Bachuska, who's currently the leader in the W2RC. Then Portela Moraes and Megre. And then Sebastian Loeb, Murillo Franco, Armindo Araujo, Marcelo Gastaldi, Helder Rodriguez, a familiar name to former fans of the Dakar, or I should say to fans of the Dakar who will remember the former biker. And then Nicolas Cavigliasso is currently completing the top 10. So these are a lot of the guys, a lot of the challengers who were very quick in the prologue this morning. As I was saying, 7 of the top 10 in the prologue in the FIA class were challengers, with only a few of the ultimates in that top 10.
Boa tarde, sem direto para a Sport TV, como é que foi o primeiro dia?
How was the first day?
Era uma especial bastante difícil, começámos o dia com o prolo.
Pretty difficult.
Depois no percurso tivemos ali pequeno engano, perdemos algum tempo, voltámos, enquanto andámos sempre bem, acho que estivemos bem no ritmo e amanhã falta muita prova, recuperar bocadinho o atraso de hoje.
Tu e o Luís já deram muitas alegrias aos portugueses. O que é que podemos esperar até domingo?
Was it great to see all these Portuguese fans out?
Melhor, temos cá plantel de luxo e isso enriquece a prova e parabéns ao ACP pela organização desta prova que está espetacular e o fantástico público também sempre a apoiar.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The public are amazing here, so thanks to everyone for coming out. So, of course, the FIA class is all mixed up in terms of the start orders today, just to make things nice and easy for us to understand. The ultimates, that is to say the big cars, the T1 Plus cars, mixed up with the T3s, the Challengers, and the T4s as well, the SSVs. So you can tell, normally you can tell who is who by the number on the side of the car, but of course when there is lots of mud everywhere, it's a little bit trickier to know exactly who you're looking at coming in. But anyway, as I was saying, fastest so far for Santag Racing is João Diaz and João Miranda. They were actually the winners at Baja Portalegre in the SSV class last year. So as I was saying a little bit earlier today, this is a real opportunity for a lot of the local drivers and the local co-drivers, a lot of the Portuguese crews to show what they can do. And I do have some news actually that's coming through on the live feed, and that is that Cristina Gutierrez, the winner of the Dakar in this class, was actually removed from the special earlier. She spent over an hour at a standstill at kilometre 64, so Cristina Gutierrez out of the special.
Com o nosso setup como queremos, mas é positivo, estamos cá, é uma prova longa.
Yeah, the setup was good today, positive.
Mais 4 dias pela frente e até o momento tudo ok.
Everything okay. And now here he comes, the Dakar winner, the current World Championship leader, Carlos Sainz. That's one of the big stories of this week. Carlos Sainz is back. Of course, Audi have now finished their programme in Rally Raid as they switch their focus to entering Formula 1 in 2026. So Carlos Sainz linking up with Alex Haro for the first time in his career, because his normal co-driver Lucas Cruz had other commitments, and back in the Mini for the first time since 2021 when he did the Andalusia Rally and came second to Nasser al-Attiyah. So it'll be interesting to hear how Carlos Sainz got on.
Olá Carlos, como foi tu primeiro dia?
How was your first day, Carlos?
Aprendiendo.
A day of learning. It was good.
Não quiseste correr muitos riscos.
Como?
Não quiseste correr muitos riscos.
A lot of risk?
No te entiendo.
I can't hear you,
you drove safely. Gracias.
A man of few words, as ever, Carlos Sainz. But yes, a day of learning, interesting. So perhaps not happy with his day, Carlos Sainz. We shall see. This is Nicolas Cavigliasso coming in with his wife now, Valentina Pertagarini. Just see Cavigliasso written. Any sort of signs, any information off the side of the car is very welcome with all this mud. Cavigliasso, a former winner in the quads at the Dakar Rally, and has really taken well to this challenger class. This is the Taurus T3 Max. The Taurus T3 Max, which won the Dakar, although it was driven by Cristina Gutierrez for the BBR team. But it's shown real progress and has really been taking the fight to the Can-Ams in the last 6 months or so. The Taurus is really developing very nicely. Not sure if we're going to hear from Cavigliasso. Rebecca Busi now coming in the SSV class. It's not very easy, I have to be honest, for those of you who aren't too familiar with this sport. The T3s and the T4s visually are very, very similar. The T3 is ever so slightly wider, and in terms of the rules, the T3s can go a little bit faster. They have a maximum speed of 135 kilometers per hour, whereas the SSVs, the T4s, are limited to 125. But visually, there's not a great deal to choose between them, especially not when they're covered with mud, as they currently are. But Rebecca Busi, the Italian, who is doing well actually in the World Championship. She was in Abu Dhabi, finished in the top 4 or 5 positions there.
Temos a oportunidade para ver e ouvir o Luís Cidade. Luís, como foi o teu primeiro dia?
Correu bastante mal.
Pretty bad, says Luís about his first day.
Mais perdido. Foi atrás de uns dos outros em fila. É o primeiro dia.
Boa sorte para vocês
not
para
a great day. We'll try to have a better one tomorrow. Let's just check in for a moment with the current standings in the SSVs. So after the first stage, it's Montero for South Racing Can-Am, who has the quickest time, 1 hour and 18 minutes, followed by Ricardo Ramillo at 33 seconds. Luis Cidade coming in here now. Then Ruben Rodriguez, so a lot of Portuguese and Spanish crews up towards the front, and the World Championship leader, the runaway World Championship leader, Yasser Sayedan, only has the 4th quickest time so far, but bear in mind that, of course, Sayedan is from Saudi Arabia, so a very different kind of terrain.
Teve coisas boas, coisas más. Acabámos por furar, andar bocadinho no pó, depois para trás. Mas pronto, faz parte.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Then after Yasser Sayedan, we have Toril Boqui and Lopez Chavez for the Escuderia GMP racing team. Ronaldo Varela, the man who won the first Dakar in the SSV class back in 2017. He's currently in 6th place, 3 minutes and 38 off the pace, followed by Jose Oscar Nogueira, another Portuguese driver, then Serpa from Santag Racing, Gonzalo Guerrero, and finally Sebastian Guayasamín from the FN Speed team. So around just under 6 minutes separating the top 10. How was the first day today? Very technical out there today, not easy. Difficult tracks. Good luck for tomorrow. Alexandra Pinto and Bernardo Oliveira of the Old Friends rally team coming in now. So pretty small gaps, as is often the case, especially in the T4s. This is a T3, so they're a little bit more prototype, but in the T4s, they're very often, there's very little to choose between the cars. Technically, it's a real driver's class. Now this may be Sebastian Loeb coming in, because I've seen a Red Bull sign hidden under the mud there. It was hard today, but it was good. It was a short stage. Yeah, it was good to build a bit of confidence in the first part of the stage.
Tivemos informação há pouco que estávamos bem classificados e terminamos o dia bem, pelos vistos, e vem ao resto da corrida.
Finished in a reasonably good position, so we're pretty happy. I believe we shall see in a moment. I have to apologise, it's not the easiest thing to identify exactly who is who, but I think that was Sebastian Loeb coming in with Fabien Lerquin in their Red Bull Taurus. Now, Loeb isn't competing in the W2RC this year. He's just building experience for when he joins Dacia a little bit later this season. It's a new project involving...
Not easy. A lot of mud inside, so we struggle with the visibility, and but okay. We finished the day full of mud, but it's okay.
Good luck for tomorrow, Sebastian. Sebastian Loeb aqui em direto para a Sport TV.
It was indeed Sebastian Loeb, and as I was saying, he will be with Dacia at Dakar 2025 alongside Cristina Gutierrez and Nasser al-Attiyah, although they will actually make their competitive debut in that Sand Rider, which was unveiled at the end of January. That'll be a little bit later on this year at the Rallye du Maroc. So really, Sebastian Loeb and Fabien Lerquin are here to keep building experience, to kind of keep up the tempo of racing in Rally Raid. And of course, a man who enjoys Portugal, Sebastian Loeb, because he won Rally Portugal in the WRC twice, in 2007 and in 2009. So, and Carlos Sainz actually happened to win Rally Portugal twice as well, back in the early 90s in his WRC career. So people who have fond memories of this part of the world, for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how Sebastian Loeb fares. He may not be putting the hammer down 100%, as we've seen him do in the main cars class in recent years. Again, had to settle for second place this year behind Carlos Sainz at the Dakar. Just never seems to quite happen for Sebastian Loeb at the Dakar Rally. Currently fifth fastest Loeb. 1 minute and 51 seconds behind Joao Diaz, who is the pace setter for Santag Racing in this Challenger class. Now here is the other Baumgart car.
Dia difícil.
Hard day.
Íamos com bom ritmo, com bom pace, mas
couldn't really find the rhythm.
Do fim, o carro ficou a trabalhar só em 2 cilindros, não sei bem o que é que aconteceu.
Very difficult, couldn't really see very easily.
É pena porque vínhamos com bom ritmo.
It was really tough to find the rhythm.
Hoje, mas vamos esperar que hajam dias melhores.
Hopefully it'll go better tomorrow.
Sim, eu acredito que sim. Ele agora, por exemplo, a especial fê-la toda bem. Provavelmente pode ter apanhado
everything was fine with the car, but
tinha muita água, muitos
just a lot of water on the track, and
vamos ver.
It was difficult. Good luck for tomorrow. It's Christian Baumgart just coming in now. One thing I will say is that it's easier to read the numbers on the Ultimate cars than it is on the SSVs and the Challengers. Christian Baumgart, who had a nasty crash on the first day in Abu Dhabi. So good to see him back in action. He and his brother, both improving.
Em Portugal, é a melhor coisa que tem.
E o terreno?
Excelente. Só a lama que atrapalha um pouco, mas tá bom demais. Tem uns 4 dias aí pela frente. Só de voltar a fazer uma etapa no Mundial aqui em Portugal, não tem preço melhor e estamos bem felizes de estar aqui de volta.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Very happy to be back in Portugal, but complaining a little bit about the conditions as well. Christian Baumgart. One thing that the drivers do really enjoy at these kind of rallies, and it was something I noticed as well last year at the Desafío Ruta 40 in Argentina, is it's so great to see the public coming out and supporting them, lining the roads, especially on a very short little stage like this one, just 3 kilometers. So people have an opportunity to come out and see a bit of the action. Remember, we were saying this is a country that has been organising the WRC for over 50 years, and back in the 1980s, Baja Portalegre got going as well, not long after the Dakar Rally. So they really have been pioneering in a lot of ways. João Monteiro coming in now, 4:05. João Monteiro, who is the pace setter today in the T4s, in the SSVs, with a time of 1 hour, 18 minutes and 7 seconds.
Como foi o teu primeiro dia?
How was your first day?
Bem, entramos com o pé direito, conseguimos vencer o prólogo na nossa categoria, SSV T4.
Yeah, it's good. It's
entretanto, agora na
my
especial
first time in this SSV category, T4.
Atrasaram.
So just getting, adapting to that, getting used to it.
Ainda falta muitos quilómetros, portanto estamos confiantes, queremos chegar ao fim.
But I'm feeling confident, just trying to build as many kilometers as I can, keep improving. So we should hear from the fastest crew in the T4s in just a moment's time, hopefully.
Vocês este primeiro dia, muita lama.
Sim, sem dúvida, muita lama, piso muito degradado face aos outros carros da frente, mas foi bom.
Yeah,
Acho que o resultado é positivo.
With a lot of cars in front, difficult to overtake. Thank you. Of course, well, you can just see it's remarkable, really, looking at the state of the SSVs and the Challengers, just the amount of mud that's been thrown up by these tracks. It's obviously not easy either for these big, wide cars, the T1 Plus. Now 208, Saud Variawa, very young driver. The youngest driver at this year's Dakar Rally, just 18 years of age. He's riding with François Cazelet, who was the co-driver for Guillaume de Mévius for several seasons.
Como foi o teu primeiro dia?
Foi bom. Estamos aqui.
It was a good day.
Estamos bem, portanto divertimos.
Gustavo Piso, muitas queixas aqui em relação à lama e dá para ver que vocês também apanharam alguma, não é?
Apanhamos muita lama e, acima de tudo, há um local muito perigoso. Acho que toda a gente teve ali um perigo grande que não estava assinalado, mas pronto, também acontece. Mas de uma maneira geral acho que correu bem, está tudo bem.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Everything fine in the last few kilometres. It seems like the first part of the stage, the sandy part, was where a lot of people had problems. Things kind of got more easy as the day went on. But yes, Saud Variawa, the man who's really learning his trade here, and Juan Cruz Jacopini, identifiable thanks to that large Argentina flag at the back of his car. Jacopini, a man who is very much from rally raid stock. We'll come back to that in just a second.
It was pretty decent. We had a good run. We made one mistake where we had to reverse and come back, but nonetheless it was a decent run, and we tried to do the same for the next 4 days.
Portugal is very different from South Africa?
No, not really actually. It's very similar. Both have tight, twisty terrains with the trees very close, so I feel at home here.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Yeah, interesting what he says there, Saud Variawa, because Ross Branch mentioned that for this rally, he was doing some roadbook testing and training in Botswana, also down near South Africa in the bottom of Africa, and that he found the terrain very similar to what he was expecting to find here. So be curious to see how they get on. Saud Varia with a good result today, actually. He set off quite a long way back, but he was sixth fastest so far, nestled in between Carlos Sainz and Nasser al-Attiyah. So a good start for him. Jacopini, who we saw coming in as well, just a little bit further back, 12th position so far among the ultimates. Jacopini, who was third in the W2RC last season, had a brilliant year, but has had a little bit more trouble this time around. He's had a few problems at the Dakar, and then he was disqualified, actually, from the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. And this is Vaidotas Zala. Vaidotas Zala is actually back in the Mini that he drove at the Dakar a few years ago, including when he won the opening stage in 2020 in Saudi Arabia, beating some of the best in the business that day. And he's actually been in contact with the man who bought the Mini from him, a guy in Portugal who invited him to come and race here. So Vaidotas was absolutely thrilled to get that opportunity, along with Paulo Fiuza, a man who's been a co-driver for 20 years or something like that in rally race. So here's Vaidotas.
Very contrasting, because the prologue was complete disaster. We stalled, I had to go back and start again. So we started the first stage way back in the 35th position, but that meant somehow that it was a very good starting position. So the day ended in top 3. I'm happy.
Good luck for tomorrow. Boa sorte, Paulo.
Well, a great performance then for Vaidotas Zala. As he mentioned there, coming in inside the top 3 today. Third on the stage for the Unique Racing team. It was Luis Santos, the man from Unique Racing, who invited Vaidotas and Paulo to come and race here this week. So I'm sure he's very happy to be getting a little bit of experience, doing something a little bit different before he focuses on kind of classic rally over the summer in his Skoda Fabia Rally 2, as he does most years. Vaidotas Zala, one of the top riders, top drivers in Lithuania. And Benediktas Vanagas, actually, another top driver from Lithuania. He's not here doing this rally, but he managed to finally crack the top 10, becoming the first Baltic driver to crack the top 10 at this year's Dakar. So always interesting to see the Lithuanians competing in Rally Raid. It's a country that's completely mad about Rally Raid, Lithuania, just like Portugal. And so Vaidotas Zala alongside Paulo Fiuza. Be interesting to see how they get on this week. As we take a look at Oscar Verdu and Xavier Blanco, Spanish pair, who have very kindly kept their number 325 out of the mud, so we know exactly who they are. Lots of Spanish and Portuguese participants this week. A reminder that the 4th stage will take us into Spain a little bit later in the week. In fact, the president of the Automobil Club de Portugal, which is the organisers of this rally, Carlos Barbosa, said the route is quite unlike anything the W2RC competitors have tackled before. There's virtually no sand compared to the Dakar or the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. And what we have in store for them here is a real cross-country race in the truest sense of the word, with all sorts of terrains you're going to find if you set out to explore this country of Portugal. So fast sections, winding tracks, technical stretches, sandstones, mountains, Baja-type sections. And then the rain in recent days has added the mud to the mix, as we can see. It's a tough event, it's cut from a different mould, but I think it's going to spice up this year's championship. The competitors need to understand it's not going to be 9 to 5 days. Well, actually, they've had quite a long day today. Maybe not 8 hours, but it has been a long one with the prologue and this 2-part first stage in the first day of competitive action. But yeah, really interesting to see that Carlos Barbosa has really tried to make this something very different. Lots of mud, lots of rain. Very, very difficult.
Só deserto e corridas seco, portanto, foi mesmo muito difícil. Perdemos muito tempo e não estávamos a contar que fosse assim. Mas pronto, a especial é bonita e estamos a gostar, mas estamos.
Yeah, there's a definite theme emerging in these post-game interviews. Francisco Barreto coming in now, young driver from the Algarve, talented driver as well. He's actually the grandson of a hotel entrepreneur called Fernando Barata, but his co-driver, Carlos Silva, is an absolute rally raid legend in Portugal. He's done 33 editions of Baja Porto Alegre out of a total of 37.
Francisco, olá,
began in 88.
navegador muito experiente ao teu lado, Carlos Silva. Como correu para vocês?
Acho que correu muito bem. Tivemos
Yeah, we did well today. Good job.
Décimo da geral, acho que não podíamos pedir melhor. A experiência do Carlos conta muito neste tipo de prova, com esta grande plantel que nós temos hoje aqui. Nós estamos cá para dar o nosso melhor, para tentar manter o nosso ritmo e chegar perto deles. Portanto, acho que estamos a conseguir cumprir o objetivo. Mas ainda falta muita corrida, ainda é o primeiro dia. E vamos continuar com o máximo de foco.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Muito obrigado.
Good luck for tomorrow. A little handshake there with Carlos Silva as well, who first started competing as a driver back in 1988, and then he won Baja Porto Alegre with Rui Sousa in 2000. So a real gentleman of the sport, man who's been involved since the beginning, Carlos Silva. Barreto, I'm just checking in with the results to see where Barreto finished up. 9th place on the stage, so inside the top 10. Very solid effort from them. Only 2 minutes down on Gelan Shishiri, who's our current front runner in the FIA class. I'm just going to remind you of the current standings now in the World Rally Raid Championship in the FIA. So it's Carlos Sainz on top, as we see Cristina Gutierrez. Well, we did get a message. I'm not sure that is Cristina Gutierrez, because there was a message about her being taken out of the stage. We shall see. A 3:08, no, I stand corrected, but yeah, Cristina Gutierrez, a difficult day for her. She was stopped for a long time earlier, so perhaps we can hear what happened to the Dakar winner. She's talking about the other Dakar winner, Carlos Sainz, who leads the World Rally Raid Championship in the FIA on 76 points. Nasser Al-Attiyah is on 67, so he trails by 9 points. Then it's Shishiri, today's stage winner, on 64, Demevius on 62, and Yazid Al-Baji on 51. So it's all to play for.
Muito bom, senti muito bem o carro a cumprir. Os primeiros dias, a primeira parte do setor, como fizemos um prólogo menos bom, saímos muito na areia cavada e acabámos por sofrer um bocadinho com isso. Quando isto chegou ao piso de risco, sem regos, que não bloqueava o carro, comecei-me a divertir à séria e os tempos acabaram por aparecer, mas para já, para o primeiro dia, estou muito contente.
For a first day, we're very, very happy. Sorry, there was a little bit of detail that I missed in there, but happy with their first day. So that was the standings in the FIA World Championship. In the T3s, in the Challengers, it's Rokas Bachuska who's on top. We haven't seen Rokas come in just yet. He leads Austin Jones and Mitch Guthrie, who is not present here in Portugal. So 14 points separating Bachuska and Jones. It'll be fascinating to see how the two of them fare in this very different kind of terrain. So I don't think it was Cristina Gutierrez a little bit earlier. We saw a little graphic flash up with her name, but pretty sure that she has been taken out of the special and won't be coming to the finish line. We have a total of 87 starters in the FIA classes, so 35 in the ultimate class, including 16 who are taking part in the World Rally Raid Championship. Then we have 32 challengers. Only 7 of the challengers here are going to be taking part in the W2RC. Bachuska, Jones, Dania Akil, Marcelo Gastaldi, who we saw coming in a few moments ago, Cavigliasso, who arrived a little bit earlier. This is, I believe, one of the Can-Am factory riders. This is either Jones or Bachuska. We'll be able to get a closer look at that in just a moment, once they get to the finish line. Maria Franco, Ricardo Porem are also doing the W2RC in the T3s, but everybody else is not involved in the championship fight. Down in the SSBs, the T4s, only 5 of the 19 entrants are in the World Championship. Sayadan, Guayasamín, Busi, Ramilo and Claude Fournier are the World Championship contenders. Yassir Sayadan with a big lead in that class as things stand. And then finally, for those of you who are interested, there is one stock crew taking part, number 500, Carlos Jorge Mendez, and there is one crew in the open class as well, Johan Senders and Carlos Senders from the Netherlands. So they are all the different vehicles making their way in now to the finish line. Looked just a few moments ago like we had one of the Can-Am factory riders coming in. I'm just going to have a little look and see exactly where they have shaken out in the standings, because that is going to be the battle to be watching throughout the week. Austin Jones against Rokas Pachuca, like we saw in Abu Dhabi as well. So Pachuca has set the third quickest time by the looks of things, behind João Diaz and Alexandre Pinto, two Portuguese drivers. Repsol, this must be Isidre Esteve coming in now. Very well known in the world of rally raid, Isidre. See him at lots of the different rallies throughout the season. It's not Vaidotas Zala, we know that much because we heard from Vaidotas and Paulo Fuser a little bit earlier on. Isidre, who a former biker, João Ramos and Jorge Carvalho coming in for the Toyota Gazoo Racing Cayetano Portugal team. We've seen this, that Toyota Gazoo Racing now have various iterations of their team in local markets. So you have the Toyota Gazoo Racing factory team, but then you also have Czech and Baltics and the Portuguese team, various different versions of that team, all under one umbrella of Toyota Gazoo Racing.
Foi o vosso primeiro dia? Não foi nada bom.
No, nothing was good on this first day.
No prólogo partimos a transmissão, o que nos
We had a
renegou
problem
para
with the transmission
posição.
at the start.
O que não é no tempo, porque o tempo não conta, mas é efetivamente mal, porque naquela atrás o piso está completamente destruído, o que nos faz perder bastante tempo. Mesmo assim, impusemos um ritmo extremamente forte.
We tried to attack in the second part, but it was super tough.
Até que tivemos um furo. Com isso perdemos cerca de 2 minutos, por isso nesta altura tenho a certeza que estaria no décimo da geral, mas pronto, temos ainda muita corrida. Claro que para o Campeonato Nacional há umas contas, para a FIA outras.
Esse é o vosso objetivo, teu e do Jorge?
What's your objective?
O objetivo é o nacional, a nível de contas de campeonato.
Our objective is the national championship to get
terminando
points.
bem o Campeonato Nacional, vamos continuar a apresentar-nos, por isso vamos ver o que é que sai daqui. Mas hoje poderia efetivamente ter sido bastante melhor, mas efetivamente com tantos episódios, dou-me por feliz por estar nesta posição.
Boa sorte para amanhã, João.
João Ramos, difficult day for him and Jorge Carvalho, breaking the transmission in the prologue and then only having to suffer through all this mud with rear-wheel drive. So a difficult day for them, and difficult days, I'm sure, all round for a lot of these drivers. José Luis García and Manuel Navarro, the Spanish crew, are coming in for Escuderia Vila de Lanes. So this is the end of the first stage of this BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. Tomorrow, the riders of the bikes and then the drivers are going to be heading out from Grandola to Grandola, a loop of 193 kilometers of special, with around another 30 or 40 kilometers of liaison.
Olá, José, como foi o teu primeiro dia? É uma prova importante.
How was your first day, José?
No estoy nada contento.
We're not happy at all.
Problems
in the back,
en el cambio de rueda, y hemos perdido muchísimo tiempo. Un día para olvidar.
We lost a lot of time. It was really a day to forget.
Solo puede ser mejor.
Gracias.
Yeah, tomorrow things will get better. when we get to stage 3, we'll be heading north towards the heart of Portugal on the tracks of Baja Porto Alegre, so faster and harder. There's going to be a short mountain segment as well. And then it's a very different kind of stage on stage 4 when we go to Spain. It's going to be a more open course. There'll be flatter farmland and hopefully less mud than we've seen here. The rain is going to make certain sections very slippery, as we know, but it's going to be very varied, put it that way. Al-attiyah Kolok coming in with Sebastian Delaunay.
Helder, como foi o vosso primeiro dia? Muita lama aqui, dá para ver pelo carro, quase não se percebe.
How was your first day? But he's got a smile on his face, that's the main thing.
Não muito longo, mas técnico. Não tivemos
very long,
muita
very
lama.
technical.
Tivemos alguns charcos de lama, mas
Not
também ao
very
final
long,
foi
sorry,
giro.
but technical.
Acho que mudamos da areia para a lama, para o duro, tivemos dia completo.
Yeah, very complete, very varied terrain.
Boa sorte para amanhã, Helder. Helder Rodrigues.
Good luck for tomorrow. Yes, al-attiyah Kolok, who's just coming in now. She's the daughter of Martin Kolok from Bagheera Racing, who we're more used to seeing in the trucks, the Czech team. But she has been really trying to improve in recent years. She had a very promising tennis career as a youngster, actually, al-attiyah, along with her sister, but has been quite committed to getting to these races. She was also racing in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, as we see the familiar Dunkin' Donuts sign of Yasser Sayadan, number 400, the World Championship leader in the SSVs, coming into the finish now. And now I can imagine that a man from Saudi Arabia has not had the most fun today in all this mud. Michael Metsch is his co-driver once again. They were also together in Abu Dhabi. They took second place there behind Mansour Bilhili, the local hero, I should say. Bilhili won the rally, but he wasn't taking part in the World Championship, so Yasser came away with the maximum haul, having already done a good job at the Dakar with Michael's brother, actually, with Adrian Metsch as his co-driver when he was riding the Dakar in January. It'll be interesting to hear from him. I'm sure we'll get a word with Yasser Sayadan now, as we see Edouard Pons coming into the finish now. Also in the big car, like Joao Ferreira. He's been in the SSVs more recently, as Edouard Pons. Back in the big car for this one.
How was it?
Which part? This one?
Yes, the stage.
Bit nice, tricky, but the first part was very hard. Muddy and tricky and dangerous. But we're glad we finished. We have lots of problem with the mud, with the glass. We couldn't see from the mud, but we're glad that we finished.
Good luck for tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt, lots of these drivers glad to have finished. I mean, he did say before the rally, Yasser Sayadan, that it was good to have a different challenge, to have something a bit different to what he's used to in Saudi Arabia and in Abu Dhabi. He has done Baja Porto Alegre twice in the past, but it wasn't a positive experience for him, for Yasser Sayadan, so he's definitely out to improve this week. Here is Isidre Esteve.
Eduardo,
Why?
foi pouco peligroso ali atrás.
Thought had come in a little bit earlier, but let's hear from Edouard Pons.
Teníamos que salir con las motos y salimos con los carros y por eso fuimos a dos ruedas un rato.
Yeah,
¿no?
we
Bien,
had to
bien,
go out with the bikes, so it was difficult.
Especial está divertida, mucho
It
barro,
was good fun, though.
patinaba bastante, pero bien.
Everything's fine.
Bueno, hoy la jornada ha sido durísima para un
was
coche
really,
grande
really
como
tough
este,
today.
con potencia, es todo muy estrecho, mucha dificultad.
Lots of
Pero lo importante es que
difficulty,
estamos aquí, vamos a
and we're
reflexionar
expecting more of the
para
same
mañana
tomorrow.
porque tenemos que correr con mucha cabeza para acabar esta
We
carrera.
have to drive with our heads. Yeah, a good point there made by Edouard Pons. It's all about driving with your head. This is what makes rally raid such a different sport to WRC. I was watching a little bit of the Safari Rally in Kenya over the weekend and watching the WRC riders trying to get every last inch of pace out of their cars. And in rally raid, sometimes you really do have to ease off and play it smart and play it safe and make sure you hit your waypoint. Make sure you don't lose time looking for a waypoint or end up with a 15-minute penalty for skipping it. So it really is a very, very different sport to the world of rally. And a very important point actually that I should make for you is that there will be highlights of this race available throughout the week. We're going to have the live coverage today, obviously, and then there's live coverage again on Sunday, provided by Jack Nichols, who'll be bringing the race to a conclusion. But we also have our friend Mike Chen is on site, and he's going to be organising and sorting out the daily highlights. So if you look on the YouTube channel of the World Rally Raid Championship later today, or perhaps tomorrow morning, I'm not sure exactly how they're getting on, but you will be able to see full highlights throughout the week of the action. Because obviously once we get out into the longer, more difficult stages where we don't have, it's not so easy to set up cameras out in the wilderness. So if you want to find out what's gone on and what is going on in the race, you can obviously follow the live stream and the live centre, I should say, the live race centre with text updates, courtesy of Rodolphe Sabatier and his team on site in Portugal. So you can follow all the information throughout the day, find out what's happening, because they always have their finger on the pulse at Race HQ. And then a little bit later in the day, you'll be able to watch Mike's highlights of all the action that has happened, and you can find out what's going on in the World Championship and who's going to end up on top in these fascinating battles that are unfolding in all the different categories. As we see another of the Taurus vehicles coming in. I wonder if this could be Daniel Akil. It's a little bit hard to tell.
Como foi o teu primeiro dia? Foi bom?
How was your first day?
Correu muito bem.
Very good.
80, tivemos ali percalçozinho, partimos uma transmissão da frente, fez-nos perder bastante tempo.
Had to be a little bit on the brakes in the early part of the day.
Agora ao prólogo estávamos aqui bocado preocupados com esta lama toda, mas conseguimos sobreviver a este lamaçal, estamos a divertir muito.
Consegues recuperar o carro para amanhã?
Sim, tranquilo. Acho que não é nada grave.
We're pretty relaxed about tomorrow.
Vai ser fácil.
Obrigado, Francisco.
We'll just see how it goes. So another of the Taurus cars just coming to the finish there. We shall wait and see if we get an interview from the finish line to see exactly who that was coming in. 4:14, this is Ronaldo Varela, I mentioned earlier, a former winner of the Dakar in the SSV class. He was the winner in 2018 in the SSVs, Ronaldo Varela. Then came third as well in 2019. Took 5 stage wins the year that he won. We haven't seen so much of him in the last few years, Ronaldo Varela, but he has continued to compete. Very experienced Brazilian. He's also a 2-time winner of the Rally dos Sertões, one of the most well-known and prestigious rallies back in Brazil. So Varela 6th today on the stage. And this is Sebastián Guayasamín coming in now.
Este primeiro dia, muita lama, muito duro.
Very tough.
Duro não, foi bastante lama. E ela entra no vidro, tem hora que a gente não enxerga. Mas faz parte, o problema aqui de ultrapassagem é difícil, porque ele fica...
There were certain difficult passages, but it wasn't too bad.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Oh well. So... Some people are more suited to these conditions than others, I suppose. Sebastián Guayasamín, a man who's always got a smile on his face, representing Ecuador. Now, he's been doing rallies for about 10 years, Sebastián. And he's doing well in the World Championship, actually, this season. He trails Yassir Sayyidan by some way, but he is up there. Second place on 87 points. He was the 4th highest W2RC driver at the Dakar, and then the 2nd best at the recent Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. And it was his first time actually in Abu Dhabi, so he said it was a real learning curve for him to be in those huge kind of never-ending dunes.
Hello, Sebastián. How was it for you? This is an important race. You are chasing the 1st place in the championship.
Well, we're fighting for 3 countries. This is our 3rd country. It's my first time in Portugal.
So we were not expecting that much water and mud, but this is kind of similar to Ecuador. I live in the high mountains, over 3,000 meters above the sea level. It's about the same, so I think you're going to get used to it in the next coming days.
Good luck for tomorrow.
And we'll Guayasamín a little bit more at home then in this terrain than he was in Abu Dhabi. He joked to me at one point that the only sand that they have in Ecuador is on the beach, so it was a bit difficult to be racing in all of those dunes there. But Yassir Sayyidan currently sits on 146 points in the World Rally Raid Championship. That's quite a bit ahead of Guayasamín, who's on 87. So there's a lot of ground to be made up. Sayyidan is definitely in the driving seat there. Sarah Price in third. She's not here. And João Ferreira is here, but he's racing in a different category. He's racing in the ultimates, looking to build on his excellent victories at the recent Baja Portalegre in 2022 and 23. And in fact, in 2022, João Ferreira became the youngest ever winner of Baja Portalegre in the cars, 23 years of age. Really is fascinating to see how in Rally Raid, of course, we have the legends of the sport like Carlos Sainz, who just set a new record as the oldest winner of the Dakar. He'll be 62 next week, I think, Carlos Sainz, on the 14th of April. So 61 years of age and a Dakar winner. Nasser Al-Attiyah is a few years younger, but there are so many young, talented drivers coming up now. You know, a few years ago, I remember when Seth Quintero burst onto the scene as a sort of an 18, 19-year-old. He was pretty much the only teenager that we were talking about. But now, with the Saud Variawas and the Edgar Cane, who did so well today in the bikes, and then all of the guys like João Ferreira in their mid to sort of late 20s. And I suppose historically we would associate the younger guys with the bikes more than with the cars, but now really it is becoming such a professional sport, Rally Raid, and the talent is just getting younger and younger and better. So it's going to be fascinating to see whether the likes of Quintero and Ferreira and Moraes, even the guys who are sort of around 30, Guillaume de Mévius as well, whether they can start to really impose themselves and start taking the victories away from the likes of Nasser and Carlos Sainz. Of course, Stefan Petter Hansel missed the Dakar with his record of winning the Dakar 14 times. We don't know whether he will continue in the sport for another year or two, or whether he might consider retiring soon. That is one of the questions that we have about Stefan Petter Hansel.
Ainda a zona inicial com muita areia, já estava muito, nós tínhamos mais perto do final.
Yeah, we lost a lot of time in the first part.
Mas divertimos-nos, foi giro, chegámos ao final, que é o que importa, e ainda faltam muitos dias. Interessa como acaba.
Boa sorte para amanhã. Rui Serpa.
Yeah, lots of good luck for tomorrow being thrown around. And of course, that was a question that was raised when Edouard Boulanger was joined forces with Nasser Al-Attiyah. The question then of whether Stefan Petter Hansel would continue to race in the Dakar or whether he might stop. We don't know. For the time being, Stefan hasn't decided one way or the other what he's going to be doing. So we hope he continues, of course. It's great to have him in the sport. This week.
Ruben, como foi o vosso primeiro dia? Muita lama, toda a gente a queixar-se pouco da lama também, muita água e dos troços já muito cavados também.
Sim, bocadinho muito cavado, agora a cabinha atrás, nós estamos a classe de AT4.
Yeah, it was hard starting from the back. Lots of vehicles out there.
O carro está a dar 5 estrelas e ainda temos mais 4 dias para frente. Isso é só o primeiro dia.
Boa sorte para amanhã para vocês.
We'll just try and keep improving things day by day. Ruben Jorge Rodriguez there. Speaking to our man Pedro Gamito at the finish line. And thanks again to Carlos Vaz, who's the man who's directing the images that we can see here. You can just see the ruts really getting deeper and deeper. That car very nearly getting stuck. I believe this is, Ronald Scholderman and Mark Salamans from the 4x4 Centrum Ermelo team. There are a few Dutch crews taking part here as well. Quite a lot of Portuguese crews. But we have Rick van den Brink, Pim Klaassen, Dave Klassen and various others. A couple of Polish crews as well. Magdalena Zajac is taking part, Tomasz Barankowski, Stefan Karmans from Belgium. These are the crews that we should be seeing arriving in the next kind of 10-15 minutes or so. Just give you a reminder of the current standings then in the FIA class. So Gerland Shishiri. Oh, and they have got stuck. I apologise, I feel like I jinxed them, saying that they almost got stuck and then they did. Well, hopefully somebody will be on hand to give Ronald a bit of a tow here. You could just see then he was coming around those last few corners that so thick, the mud. Well, he's going to have to get out and survey the damage. Get the tow rope. And hopefully somebody will be coming past in a few moments who can help to get them out of it. Make sure that buggy coming in behind doesn't get stuck as well. Well, poor old Ronald Scholderman kind of tells the story of the day, really. We also saw one of the quads earlier, Wisniewski getting stuck in this last little bit, and of course all the vehicles now, over 100 vehicles have already come over these tracks and chewed them right up. So Scholderman just having to get out the tow rope. And he'll be waiting for perhaps he can get a tow.
É verdade, mas faz parte. Esta corrida é assim, é uma aventura, é uma corrida longa, estamos a divertir, que é o mais importante. Acabamos.
Yeah, we had a bit of fun, but that was tough out there.
Vamos a mais 900 km especiais. Boa sorte para amanhã. Obrigado.
Thank you. Good luck for tomorrow. Well, here comes Stef Karmans. And no, he's going to just go straight on past. Well, a Belgian and a Dutchman. Trouble is, I don't know if another car tries to stop to get them out, they might end up getting stuck themselves. So we shall see what happens. But hopefully somebody will be along. And here we go. Well, one of the cars that's just there on the parked up on the side, perhaps from the organisation. They have come to Ronald Scholderman's rescue, so he'll be able to come into the end of the stage. Ricardo Sousa now, I think, is coming in alongside Jorge Brandão, another all-Portuguese crew. A lot of these crews looking to collect points in the National Championship over the first 2 days of racing. And I can confirm, actually, I was talking a little bit earlier about the first-person view drone, and I've been told by our producer Antoine that there will be an FPV drone present on this rally and another drone that will be taking kind of beauty shots. So when you tune in later on YouTube to check out the highlights of the opening stage, you'll be able to see the FPV drone in action.
Partimos uma transmissão, ficámos atascados na lama, tivemos lá para aí 10 ou 15 minutos à espera que alguém nos puxasse. O carro, depois, entretanto, houve outro carro que nos bateu por trás, damos cabo do radiador. Estamos a gerir. Amanhã, a ver se conseguimos dar o nosso melhor.
Boa sorte para amanhã, só pode correr melhor.
É verdade, obrigado.
Rebecca Bussi now, coming in with Sergio Lafuente. We thought that we'd seen Rebecca a little bit earlier, but really not very easy with the graphics, not very easy to pick out exactly who is coming in at what point. So Rebecca, who is also fighting in the World Rally Raid Championship in the SSVs. Hopefully we'll hear from her about the day that she's had, the Italian. She's currently down in 6th place in that championship, having taken a top 3 in Abu Dhabi, 20 points there, 11 points at the Dakar after finishing in 8th place. So obviously Yassir Saydan is a long way off, but she can close the gap on Cristiana Batista, João Ferreira and Sarah Price, none of whom are competing here in Portugal this week. Nuno Rogério is on her tail. I think perhaps they haven't stopped for a word with Rebecca. When she was in Abu Dhabi, she was accompanied by Nacho Cornejo, her partner. Though Nacho, as some of you may have seen in the bikes, at this period of the year, it's kind of when a lot of the contracts are ending. So Nacho is no longer with the Monster factory team, the Monster Energy Honda factory team, I should say. And Toby Price, likewise, has ended his contract with KTM.
Foi muito complicado.
Yeah, it was very, very tough.
No princípio, depois na parte final muita lama.
Especially at the start, actually at the end as well, it wasn't easy.
Portanto, tivemos que tirar tirar do pé, depois dirigir também o carro para as etapas seguintes. Mas sim, foi muito divertido. Gostámos muito.
Yeah, we had some fun, but it wasn't easy. I was just saying, sad to see that Nacho Cornejo's contract not renewed with Honda, and Toby Price's contract not renewed with KTM after all the success that he's had with the team there. So we wish both Nacho and Toby the best in whatever future endeavours come their way. Hopefully they will be snapped up and will end up doing something and carrying on with their excellent racing careers. But it is an uncertain time in Rally Raid at this time of year. This is a time of year when many contracts are up for renewal, up for discussion, and actually I was asked, just listen to this interview as well.
Foi dia ótimo, começamos com areia, começamos com muitos rigos, depois tivemos lama, dificuldade, apanhamos uma pedra. Hoje foi 100 km completos, 100 km completos, dificuldades diferentes. Nós hoje tentamos andar bem sem estragar nada. Isto são muitos quilómetros, são muitos dias e pronto.
Yeah, but we still have a lot of kilometres, a lot of days to go, so we can make up some time. And I was just saying that Ricky Brabeck, the winner of the Dakar in the bikes, is not present here this week, but that was kind of Ricky's choice, or I should really say it was the team's decision, because he's been asked to be part of an event, a kind of promotional event with Honda and HRC at the MotoGP in America next week. So the dates clashed, and it wasn't really able to get out here. So that means that we haven't actually seen Ricky in action since the Dakar, which he won for the second time earlier this year. But he is hoping to be back. He should be back with us at the next round of the World Rally Raid Championship in Argentina. Desafío Ruta 40, that'll be at the start of June. And we should also, at that point, see the return of the likes of Sam Sunderland, Luciano Benavides, Kevin Benavides, various top bikers who are missing for this race in Portugal. Felipe Lopez and Fabio Santos from Rio Seco Racing coming in now. Yet another all-Portuguese crew. I didn't actually take the time to count how many all-Portuguese crews we have, but I think in the buggies, in the T3s and T4s, must be close to somewhere between a third and a half of all the crews. Really a great deal of local interest in this race, not just obviously the fans who are here in Grândola to watch the action. Great to see so many of the national competitors, so many people who are taking part in this national championship getting involved and getting a chance to kind of rub shoulders with the best in the business. Jose Reguero and Paulo Marques coming in now as well. And here goes the FPV drone. So as we watch these final crews coming in, there are a total of 87 different crews in the FIA classes, between the Ultimates, the Challengers and the SSVs. Jose and Paulo just coming to the line now. And then that will conclude what has been a very busy day for these riders and drivers. I was saying they were up early this morning for the prologue, So the prologue, it was a first actually, for the first time in the World Rally Raid Championship, the prologue and the first stage held on the first day.
Bonito, muito difícil.
Very hard, very hard, very hard.
A equipe está de parabéns, o meu navegador foi brutal, espetacular.
It was brutal.
Estou muito satisfeito. Obrigado.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's all he wants to say. A brutal day. Yeah, just a reminder for those of you who weren't with us at the start of the show, there has been a lot of rainfall, as you can probably tell. There was a lot of rainfall, kind of inhabitual amount of rainfall in the week leading up to the rally. That's why it's so difficult. And a lot of the riders, a lot of the bikers, especially before the rally, were a little bit apprehensive about going into these tracks.
Maria chegou aqui ao final com grande sorriso. Como é que foram estes quilómetros, este primeiro dia?
How were the first kilometers today?
Difícil a parte inicial, confesso. Ser dos últimos carros a partir.
Yeah, very tough. Again, that first part of the special, which everyone's been talking about.
Como é que foram os primeiros quilómetros com este carro?
Foram bastante desafiantes. Lá está, a pista estava muito degradada, não deu para usufruir ao máximo.
Também ainda está a aprender o carro, acredito.
É verdade, é a primeira vez que estou a conduzir e, portanto, ainda estou a aprendê-lo.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Well, we're still learning and we're still just improving, little by little. Yeah, so as I say, a lot of rainfall in the week leading up to the race, and that just means that, and especially it's interesting to compare actually, because when we heard from Skylar Howes earlier today, Skylar Howes was the very first man into the longer special today, the 97-kilometre special. What we're watching is section 2, part 2 of stage 1, which is only 3 kilometres, so a very short little special on these dirt tracks, and with cameras, 6 cameras all set up around the finish line, so that we've been able to bring you this live coverage of this second part of the first stage. But earlier in the day, Skylar Howes was saying actually it wasn't so bad, or at least from his perspective. But of course, when Skylar went out this morning, there was only one, he was the first man out, and they'd actually the organisation had sent out a couple of dirt bikes and I believe a car to kind of just check that the terrain was usable, that they didn't have to change the route or anything for safety reasons. So Skylar actually said it was great, so the conditions were fantastic. He had a blast out there, even if it was difficult, and he didn't have a great day, but he still had a lot of fun on these mud tracks. But of course, the further you go, the longer you go out there, the more it just gets churned up by all these vehicles going out. And you can imagine it's even worse at a race like a rally like the Dakar. Come back in just a second to that point.
Difícil, mas bastante recompensante. Sobretudo o objetivo era ganhar experiência, portanto vamos ver. Amanhã vai correr melhor, certeza.
Yeah, I hope it's better tomorrow.
Com muita lama já também.
Eu fiquei aqui com o limpa-para-brisas avariado, vim os últimos 10 km praticamente sem visibilidade.
We had a problem with the windscreen as well, visibility issues.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Good luck for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just talking about how obviously it can be so important exactly where you set off in the starting order, and of course for these guys who have set off a long way back in the 70th or 80th position, they've had to get through so much mud. And look, this is another SSV that looks like it could get stuck. Going very gingerly through here, but it looks like they're going to be okay. I think this is the crew of Miguel Toril Okoy, 409 from Escuderia JMP Racing. They've managed to get through that toughest little section. Oh, don't speak too soon. No, they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. And yes, you can see sometimes, I remember a few years ago on the Dakar, there was a stage where the organisers sent the cars and the trucks and the bigger vehicles out ahead of the bikes. And it was difficult. It was a very difficult day because, of course, then the bikes found themselves coming into this terrain, it was a little less muddy than here, but coming into this terrain that had been all cut up and churned up a lot of the rocks and things. So for the bikes coming in after them, that was very dangerous indeed. So yeah, it's extremely tough. And what Skylar Howes experienced when he went off at, I think it was about 11:15 or 11:15 or end of the morning, late morning today, and he was the first man out there, is very different now from what poor old Miguel Toril and Rosa Romero are experiencing. Rosa Romero, who has a Dakar experience. It's good to see her competing here in Portugal. Yeah, so a tough day for a lot of these guys. Rosa Romero, the former biker, KTM. She is now. Oh dear. Oh well. Poor old Vitor Martinho. Just tried to give it a little bit too much welly there to get through the mud. And well, hopefully the stewards will be able to get him back on 4 wheels, get him out the car first, make sure everybody's okay. But that just gives you an idea of just how difficult it is when all of these vehicles have gone in front of you. We're just hoping, just checking to see that Martinho and Max Delfino are okay, getting them out of the car. And then our local Samaritans there will come to the rescue and get them back on 4 wheels. They should be able to get themselves to the finish line. Oh, this is also a point that I made a little bit earlier, is that when we see Rally Raid, generally when we see highlights of Rally Raid, we're seeing the top end of the field. We're seeing the first guys, the fastest guys, perhaps the most experienced guys as well. So this really gives you an idea. It's really good, kind of good to see these images, not for poor old Martinho and Delfino who got stuck there, but this really gives you an idea of what it ends up looking like, especially in these tough conditions. It is easier in the bigger ultimate cars to get over the top, to get to the end. Tomasz Baranowski and Konrad Dudzinski, Finato Racing, but look at that. Now I'm just getting to the point now where every time a car appears, I'm just hoping that they can get round these 7 or 8 corners and just get themselves to the finish line, and then get themselves back to the bivouac and start thinking about tomorrow's action. A bit of a longer stage tomorrow, but by no means the longest stage. The biggest day of the week is going to be stage 3. 387.78 kilometers to be very precise, of special. So yeah, by some comfortable margin, that'll be the longest stage of the week. The second longest is stage 4 that goes into Spain. And more trouble here for these, and that is another car who's stuck, and it's kind of ironic cheers going up from the crowd. Pim Klaassen and Teun van Daal have also got stuck in the mud. Well, there's not much you can do. There is so much mud, and the ruts are so deep with all the cars that have gone there. But that car is coming across to help them, so yeah, a chance to reflect on a rather unfortunate end to the day. Well, normally those plates are sand plates. Normally you would use them to get out of when you get stuck on top of a dune. But in this case, to get out of the mud. There we go. I mean, it's not what you want to see. You just feel sorry for these guys. They've already had a difficult enough day as it is. And then to get stuck within, what, 100 or 200 meters of the finish line, it's not ideal. But yeah, luckily that organisation car is there to help them get out and get underway again. And I think now, judging by the times already, we must be getting into the last few competitors of the day's action. That gives me an opportunity just to, whilst we're waiting to get these guys up and running and to the finish line, just to take you through the results on this first stage of the BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. We're back underway again. That's good to see. They'll get to the finish line. So in the bikes category, the current leader overall is Bradley Cox from the Bass World KTM Racing Team, a Rally 2 driver who is leading the Rally GP at the moment. He leads from Adrian van Beveren by a total of, just looking at the total times here. Bear with me just for a moment. It looks like, I believe that since, I did mention earlier that there might have been penalties, and I believe that those penalties have now been applied in the bikes. So that means that there has been a little bit of a change in the order. As we expected, Cox and Van Beveren and Canet have all been given penalties. I believe that was for speeding a little bit earlier today. So that means we actually have a slightly different looking complexion now in the bike race. So the current leader now in the bikes is Tosha Sharena, who was the quickest in the prologue and also the quickest on the first stage. He leads by 4 minutes and 15 seconds from Lorenzo Santolino from Sherco. And then in third place, Skylar Howes at 4:27. Antonio Mayo, the local legend, the record winner of Paja Portalegre, is fourth at 4:35. And the top 5 completed by Pablo Quintanilla from the Monster Energy Honda team, currently in 5th. Then Sebastian Buhler, Ross Branch, Bruno Santos, Mathieu Devez and Pascual, the Argentine rider. So a total of 8 minutes and 30 seconds already separating the top 10 in the bikes. In the quads, no changes there. It's Manuel Andújar, who has a 2 minutes and 39 second lead. Canop Quinas and Martinez, second and third, within 4 minutes. And then Kamil Wisniewski at almost 13 minutes in 4th place. Then in the ultimates, in the cars, current overall leader. I should note that in the cars, actually in the FIA classes, the prologue times are not counted towards the overall total times, whereas they are taken in the FIM classes. But anyway, Gerlan Shishiri is the leader, an hour, 13 minutes and 54 seconds. He leads by 28 seconds from Yazid Al-Raji. Then Lukas Morais at 48 seconds. Vaidotas Zala is also at 48 seconds. And then Carlos Sainz, the current leader in the World Championship. And now we can see that the name Seth Quintero has popped up on the screen. Just waiting to see if Seth Quintero has actually turned up, because if he has, he's lost a great deal of time today.
Como é que está a ser esta passagem pelo todo o terreno e como foi o teu primeiro dia?
That is obviously not his car, so we'll see if he turns up.
O ACP é sempre a proporcionar uma prova de excelência. Bem em moto a dar carro impecável, o Hugo a fazer o trabalho dele também nas mesmas maravilhas e eu estou-me a divertir e acho que está a correr bastante bem.
A parte final foi muito difícil, muita lama e já com os troços muito cavados também.
Sim, bastante. Há aqui umas curvas que é preciso mesmo andar à procura de onde é que é o sítio menos fundo para o carro não ficar atolado. E na parte final do troço anterior também, zonas com muita lama, pá, muito difíceis.
Yeah, it was very difficult. We took it easy in the final part. Well, meanwhile, another crew has got stuck on a big mound of mud there. I couldn't see any sign of Seth Quintero coming in, because we didn't see Seth Quintero finish. Just looking where he is in the standings. Seth Quintero, well, over 6 hours, over 6.5 hours dropped today. So Seth Quintero has obviously had a lot of problems. He came to a halt at kilometre 46. So I can only assume that it was mechanical issues for Seth Quintero. It's a shame for Seth, because he had a really good outing at the Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge. But yeah, Seth Quintero running into problems today. Cristina Gutierrez also was one of the other big high-profile casualties. She asked to be taken out of the stage a little bit earlier on. So a couple of the big guns kind of falling victim to these terrible conditions, very muddy conditions. I believe this is now Johan Senders of the Netherlands coming in, the only driver in the open class alongside Carla Senders. So they're just finishing off their day. Yeah, Okay, so a day to forget for Quintero.
Acho que temos uma boa classificação no T1. Podemos estar, se calhar, na liderança. Diverti-me imenso, apesar de que o trouxe tinha muita ratoeira. E quando saímos no evento nacional, está tudo mais difícil. Então apanhámos ali alguns chutes, mas divertimos-nos e estamos aqui.
Boa sorte para amanhã.
Well, they're going to have to get another rescue operation underway here at the finish line. That's already 5 or 6 or 7 competitors who've got stuck in this last little few hundred meters. It's pretty spectacular. It's difficult, yeah, of course. Very, very difficult.
Até a próxima. Obrigado.
I see various of the open competitors coming in now. I was just going to go back and continue telling you about the different results and the different categories. So, as I was saying, Gelan Shishiri leading in the cars from Al-Raji, Moraes, Zala and Sainz. Then al-attiyah, Variawa, João Ferreira, about 2 minutes back. Juan Cruz Jacopini at 3:46. And Christian Baumgart, who had a 2-minute penalty, presumably for speeding. He is now just under 4 minutes back, so pretty slim gaps in the cars for the time being. Smaller gaps than we have in the bikes so far. Then in the challenges, well, it's the local boys, Diaz and Pinto, who are leading so far. There's a 37-second advantage for João Diaz and João Miranda from Santag Racing. Looks like we're going to have to get the big guns out. The Komatsu is being warmed up to try and sort out some of this mud at the finish line. Rokas Pachuska then is third currently in the challenges at 1 minute from João Diaz, and he is the leading World Rally Raid competitor for the time being. Then Sebastian Loeb, so a reminder that Sebastian Loeb is taking part in the challenger class at this rally. Just doing a little bit of practice, really, just trying to keep himself ticking along. He and Fabian Lurca, who will be joining the Dacia team, part of the Sand Riders lineup, and they will be making their debut at the Rally du Maroc in the new Dacia Sand Rider, which was unveiled a few months ago. So Sebastian Loeb not taking part in the World Championship, just here to clock up some kilometres, try a bit of a different style of racing. Sebastian Loeb, of course, wasn't in Abu Dhabi either. He was only in the Dakar so far this season in the World Rally Raid Championship, finishing second there behind Carlos Sainz. Araujo and Franco, 2 Portuguese drivers, in 5th and 6th in the challenges, followed by Gastaldi, Portela Moraes, Helder Rodriguez, and finally rounding out the top 10 is Nicolas Cavigliasso for the Taurus team. And finally then to the SSVs, where the overall standings are led by João Monteiro. So Nuno Moraes and João Monteiro for South Racing Can-Am. Another local crew, all Portuguese. They are leading Ricardo Ramilo by 41 seconds. And then in third place is Ruben Rodriguez, 2 minutes and 43. They're followed by the leader of the World Rally Raid Championship, Yassir Sayyidan, at 2:45. Only 2 seconds between third and fourth in that class. And then Alexandra Toril Bokoy from Escuderia JMP Racing is 5th at 3:17. Ronaldo Varela, the former Dakar winner, 6th at 3:47. Followed by Rui Serpa, Sebastian Guayasamín, Jose Oscar Nogueiro, and finally Gonzalo Guerrero rounds out the top 10. So Total of 7 minutes and 14 seconds separating the top crews in the SSV. So it's very much still to play for, everything's still to play for, and we've heard a few drivers saying that at the finish line as well. We still have a lot of kilometres to be covered this week. In terms of special, there will be a total of 1,035 kilometres. It looks like we are going to have to get that big JCB down there to free this last car that is still stuck in the mud. 1,035 kilometres, and we're just getting confirmation now of those standings. I believe this is the standings on the stage. Just having a comparison with what I've got here on the live. Yeah, this looks like the stage standings, which is the overall standings in the FIA anyway. It all counts for the same thing. So there we go, Diaz, Pinto, Bachuska, Loeb and Araujo in the challengers. Only 2 minutes and 3 seconds separating the top 5 there. Best part of 900 kilometres still to be covered between now and Sunday. Montero, Ramilo, Rodriguez, Sayadan and Toril. And no doubt Ricardo Ramilo will be a man that Yasser Sayadan will be keeping an eye on, because he's also in the World Championship, so he'll be trying to avoid trying to get past him so that he can take the maximum haul in the W2RC as he did in Abu Dhabi. Well, a picture sometimes paints 1,000 words. Well, I think we are nearing the end of this live broadcast anyway, and I'd just like to say thank you for all of you if you've stayed this far, stayed all the way to the bitter end, and thanks very much for joining me, Andy Smith, for this, what's been a fascinating afternoon, really. It's very rare that we get to do any kind of live commentary in Rally Raid, so it's been a real pleasure to be here this evening and to have taken you through a little bit of the action. My Portuguese probably needs a little bit of work, as we've established, but let's remind ourselves, look a little bit at some of the images we had earlier. Skylar Howes, Tosha Sharena ends up on top after the penalties in the end for Adrian van Beveren and Bradley Cox. The top man in the quads is Andujar, the reigning Dakar champion. These were the guys just having a bit of trouble here. This was Wisniewski. That was a lovely moment between two of our French riders earlier. One of them getting a tow to the finish line. A little bit of showboating as well, and you can just see the difference in the tracks at this point than what we've just been seeing. Kielan Shishiri, the front runner in the cars. Plenty of talent on show from people have already established themselves as international stars in this sport, and others who are riding on their home roads in Portugal. But yeah, it's been a great experience. It's been great, and please remember to get involved and to follow the highlights throughout the week that Mike Chen is going to be producing and voicing. You can find all of that on the YouTube channel of the World Rally Raid Championship. Do follow all the live text as well with Rodolphe and his team, who are over in Portugal right now. And then join Jack Nichols as well on Sunday for a second lot of live coverage. Jack is going to be summing up everything that's happened throughout the week. He'll be telling you all the stories, all the things that you won't have missed, of course, because you'll be tuning in every day to watch the highlights. But yes, really do enjoy this BP Ultimate Rally Raid Portugal. This brand new event, the third round of the World Rally Raid Championship 2024. We'll leave you with these last few images. But I've been Andy Smith, thanks for joining me, and see you again soon.